How am I supposed to feel about what happened with Chris Cody?
People must be mad, right? People get mad about this stuff, Dan. People take this stuff very serious.
Do you not think that they should? I mean, he's sitting here trafficking on our name, on his father's name, on credibility, and then just getting it wrong and saying the following.
So I can't be wrong.
He's saying he doesn't know what a source is, and
I don't know what a source is.
like, how am I honestly supposed to feel as we build a media company? Like, you understand everything we're doing here, right? We're building a media company. We're zigging while others are zagging. Journalism is collapsing everywhere. Credibility is collapsing everywhere. It's harder to see what's true information.
Bingo!
And what's not true information. And he does something like this, where he has a source, but you can't trust him or his sources.
So, originally, I don't know why you would feel like it's a poor reflection on you, on your name. But then when you explain it in the sense that, you know, you're building a media company here, then I could see where it kind of looks bad.
Well, I feel like ESPN should fire him again. And this time I wouldn't bail him out. Like, this time they should just thunder it. They're firing everyone else. Carl Ravitch is gone today, evidently.
What?
Huh?
Yeah.
No way.
Is that not known? Is that not a thing
I did
that
not
has
know
been?
that.
I did not know that. I'm going to check this one out.
They're letting go of a whole bunch of people. Ryan Clark was yesterday during a show.
But it was supposed to be Tuesday morning, so it makes sense what you're saying.
Yeah, they're letting go an assortment of people.
20 minutes ago.
And so...
Man, I'm flipping my lid.
You know about that lid flip?
This is Mike Ryan's exclusive domain. He hasn't broken any news on this front in a while. He hasn't told us anybody recently who has had a great deal of work done.
I don't think I'm shocking anybody with that one.
You're not, but I do wonder, even in this time of, just total chaos in the media as a whole bunch of things shrink, I do wonder, where does someone like Carl Ravitch land? Like, that's an accomplished career. But I don't know that because ESPN does such a good job of making sure that the letters are what matter and no individual person is what matters, I don't think he can leave with the same following that Ryan Clark can leave with, because he's more of a traditional sports anchor personality versus someone who would just take audience with him because he's an opinion giver.
I think play-by-play, maybe a regional.
It would have, like, MLB Network, right?
Yeah, that seems to be a logical landing spot. Ryan has his own media ventures, but today's going to be hard for a lot of people that are fans of that brand, that grew up with that brand. You lump in Linda Cohn with it. Linda Cohn, Carl Ravitch, Ryan Clark, these are not small personalities. These are big, successful people with in some cases, decades at ESPN. Ryan Clark was at ESPN for over 11 years. That is a tremendous broadcasting career. It is tough to be at that network that long. We know.
Ravitch, speak for yourself. Ravitch is someone who became a play-by-play guy only because he was there. He's not considered, and this is not my opinion.
What was he before that, then?
He was a studio guy that had to start adding that to his repertoire. I'm sure he went to school for it.
Ravitch, I don't know that he did, actually. I think Ravitch got a job because he happened to be there, kind of like Fowler did, right? Like, you're there so long and you try to extend and expand your career, kind of like Sedano's doing.
Yeah, but all those guys ended up doing, like, play-by-play in college.
But Ravitch particularly, though, was somebody who was viewed in the industry as getting a job that others had more sculpted resume skill set for, because he was a name who worked there. I think he learned how to do that job on the job, if I don't have my information wrong. I'm not totally sure, but I remember being surprised the first time that I heard him do play-by-play, because he's not really a play-by-play guy. He learned that job. You know, Boog gave Sedano great advice at ESPN at the time that it was a heyday, a sprawling place that was hiring a bunch of people. He said, just go knock on the doors. Go physically to Bristol, knock on doors, and go into rooms and start telling people what it is you want to do. Otherwise, you'll fall through the cracks. It is a fascinating media time. I think I need to fire Chris Cody.
I sit by my tweet. I'm hearing things.
Dan Le Batard Show.
As soon as I told Tim Kirkshin that the Marlins were a playoff team, they lose 7 straight.
so I can't be wrong.
Chris Cody has embarrassed the company, and I wanted to ask all of you because, we're kind of associated with this Heat team. In fact, I can say flatly, in the history of South Florida sports, nobody has taught me more about what it takes to win than Pat Riley. And we can make the argument that the Heat helped us build this studio just by being the only thing in town that actually had national relevance in sports the entire time that we were sort of growing, and the Heat ended up getting us to the place that we got. And now we are again in this LeBron conversation. As Rich Paul says, he won't be rushed on a decision. LeBron, not Rich Paul. Rich Paul says he doesn't know when LeBron's going to make his decision. And Draymond Green is saying that Adam Silver saying that it holds up the schedule is something that will make LeBron wait longer as opposed to doing it quicker, because LeBron wishes to show the league who's in charge still, even though he's the oldest player in the league. The Heat remain the overwhelming favorite to land LeBron James. I don't know what changed exactly. Was it Windhorse's tone? Because Windhorse at the beginning kind of dismissed this idea and has spent all the time since walking it back. What changed here that made LeBron go from Miami's not really one of the favorites to, oh, wow, Miami is the clear favorite?
As strange as it may sound, because of the way people are talking about LeBron in Miami, really for like the last week, I don't remember another instance where national media is overwhelmingly now in support of said player joining Miami. It's always about how Miami's a terrible fit, Miami shouldn't do this, whatever it is. Yes, LeBron Miami was largely ignored by the media at first, but now over the last few days, it's like everyone is telling you.
But what happened? Nothing changed. It's
the thing that changed was what was anticipated to be a relatively quick process has been drawn out. And the longer that goes, the less likely it makes a place like Cleveland feel.
But is it just about trying to because it's going on so long, is it about trying to find new content and new angles? So let's talk about how he's a great fit for Miami?
I think it's really just thinking. Like, when you were looking at LeBron's situation from the beginning, it was, it's going to be 1 year, he's going to retire, Cleveland. Then it was, he'll take his chance to play with Steph Curry. Who cares if they're any good? It's the old guys getting to play, with each other one more time. And as more time has gone along, and we've realized, this is going to be a legitimate basketball decision and a legitimate business decision for LeBron James, people looked at the Heat and went, wait a minute, that's the best fit.
I think it is a fit thing because you start looking at all the options that he had, and you're like, is he really going to go play with James Harden? Is he really going to go to Philly with Embiid?
The fit is the same now as it was 2 weeks ago. Nothing has changed. Everything is exactly the same, except there's been a bunch of silence.
For LeBron and the Heat's pitch, no doubt, but initially everyone was pretty much resigned to Cleveland, and a lot of people that were in the know were being fed that. Like there were people that are very plugged into Clutch that were kind of saying that this was a done deal with Cleveland, and it's allowed a lot of influential commentators to chew on Miami a little bit, and they're warming up to it, and they see the fit if it goes beyond just the scope of 1 year.
I guess one of the things that changed is that Miami got Giannis. Like all of that became official, and just in the time since LeBron was told by the Lakers that he wasn't wanted there, because this has been an amazing narrative shift to watch. He was rejected by the Lakers. He was kicked out of the Lakers and took control of the story. And the first piece that was put into the news stream is, wouldn't it be interesting with Curry? He's learned a lot over 20 years. I told you that when I saw Rich Paul at the airport, he could not stop talking about content is king. Like, that's the thing that Rich Paul was talking about. And what LeBron knows is the longer he delays this, especially during this time of year, the more we will be talking about all of this, even though all the parties acknowledge all the information's in, there's no more recruiting to be done, there's no more contemplating really to be done. He's just waiting because he can. He's exerting the power because he can. What were your thoughts, Zaz, on what Riley had to say here? For those of you who have not seen it, he spent the post-game show with us yesterday, spent an hour with us. What were your thoughts after hearing and seeing all of that, Zaz?
I thought Riley did a good job of not answering the questions you were trying to get answers to. And he's like a master at it because you were talking to him for 50 minutes and I feel like I learned like one new thing. Otherwise, and I don't think it's his age. I think he's just a master at answering the question the way, giving you the information that he wants to give you. You even called him out on it one time where he went in a totally different direction. And finally, you're like, you're doing a thing. Like, you don't want to answer that. And now you're talking about something else. And then he's laughing and you're laughing. And like, I thought he did a real good job of evading questions.
Well, I think he came in with an agenda. There were certain things that he wanted to do, certain posturing moves that I think he wanted to get off. I don't necessarily.
Well, you thought he was doing like, yeah, you thought there was.
I don't necessarily feel this way. I was talking to some Cleveland fans, and like the takeaway was like, well, Riley really took this opportunity to sometimes subtly, sometimes not so subtly, negative recruit Cleveland.
How?
By highlighting. You may just say he's just talking about LeBron's story. People that are from Cleveland are saying like, oh, you're highlighting the initial reception he got when he first left Cleveland, the fact that he's already accomplished everything he basically needs to in Cleveland. So there were some Cleveland people that were like, oh, Riley, like, why don't you just sell Miami? Do you have to take some negative recruiting slant against Cleveland? I don't necessarily feel that way. The one thing that has bothered me throughout this, and I'm not sure lands great with LeBron, and you guys have disagreed with, I think it's kind of patronizing to be like, LeBron has earned the right to make his own decision here. He's an unrestricted free agent. He's always made his own decision. I don't know what the motivation is behind saying that. I'm not even sure it lands great.
I don't agree with you there. Like, you think it's patronizing that he's reminding LeBron and everyone that it's his right to pick the next team?
Yes, it sounds even more patronizing when you described it that way.
To me, it's him essentially agreeing with everything Rich Paul, and LeBron for that matter, is about, where this is a business, and he's allowed to make a business decision. He has earned that right in this business to do what he wants as a free agent.
Right, but he always had that right.
Well, not when he's not a free agent.
I don't know. No, but he's always done that. He's always had the power to do that. Anytime he's had the opportunity to move teams. I don't something about saying it as a 42-year-old man, like, now you've earned it. I feel like that part's a little patronizing.
I think it's more about what Rich Paul has been saying, which is we're not going to be sped up. We're not going to go by anybody else's timeline. LeBron is going to make the decision that's right for him. And I've actually found both Giannis and Riley's approach of just praising LeBron, talking about him as this great leader, this great player. Hey, man, it's his time to choose, as opposed to some of these other teams that have seemed sort of needy and desperate for him to show up there. They've said, hey, we'd love to have him if he comes.
This is, and I know it's Cleveland people who are making that case to you, Mike. This is a Cleveland inferiority complex. That it's the whole year. You know, why are you talking about us? Sell LeBron to Miami. This doesn't have to be putting us down. I didn't hear it that way at all. That's Cleveland inferiority complex.
You don't think that the Heat come off just as needy as the other teams? I mean, Riley said, let's land another plane.
Yeah.
Like, Pat's doing an interview at a curious time. I feel like Miami is just as needy as everybody else. And by the way, I think that part plays with LeBron, who very clearly,
right.
I think, wanted this ego stroke a little
That's
bit.
Right. Yeah.
To remind himself and everybody else he still has that juice after his experience with Luka.
Yeah, you could call it that the Heat are coming off needy in that respect. The Heat are doing whatever it takes, whatever they believe will attract LeBron's attention in a positive way. And yeah, Riley at Giannis's press conference mentioning how we want LeBron is probably going to be positive to LeBron.
When Max Kellerman sat out for a while, Max Kellerman, I would say, is an industry titan, okay? He could have decided to do anything with his career. We just talked a moment ago about Carl Ravitch being let go by ESPN, Ryan Clark being let go by ESPN, and wondered what's going to be next for them. Max Kellerman chose to do a podcast with Rich Paul, LeBron's agent. That was his big choice when I imagine he had a number of different options, and the one he chose to me was a super curious one. But Max has always been ahead of the curve. He was on television in New York when he was like 15 years old doing a cable access show on boxing. He's always been ahead of the curve. All of these debate shows started with Max. IMAX was a thing before PTI was a thing. Max has always been ahead of the curve. For him to see the shift in everything that's happened and align himself with LeBron's camp in a way that makes them do the Game Over podcast, where this is the latest of what it is Rich Paul was saying.
I saw the clip from Le Batard. They're releasing clips from his interview with Pat Riley. And Pat Riley ends the little clip I see.
Dan Le Batard's good, by the way.
Yeah,
Dan
Dan's great.
Yeah, he's great.
Yeah, of course. And that's my guy. But at the end of the clip, Pat Riley ends it by saying, look, I'm not calling Rich every day, bugging him about what LeBron's going to do. I mean, but this is the thing. Well, like, there's no getting around the fact that people right now are curious about LeBron.
Well,
what's the latest?
Let me say this. I won't get into what's the latest, but let me say this. Pat's not doing that, but neither is no one else. And it's not because there's not a want. It's because I'm telling them, you don't have to do that.
He hasn't made his mind
up.
We
don't need what people are trying to perceive to put out there on all these other shows, and you got the older guys saying what they think. No one, I'll say it again, none of these people know anything. Nobody knows nothing. And I say that respectfully because we haven't made it to where anybody knows anything.
Wow. I had that report first, Zaz. Are you ready to capitulate? Nobody knows nothing? I was first to report. Nobody knows anything.
Put it on the poll at Le Batard Show. Can you say nobody knows anything? I say that with respect. Do those two sentences go together?
Now, when he says nobody knows anything, did he record that before Chris Cody appeared yesterday here?
Well, he recorded that after.
The timeline of events
because we've been putting clips out, so this happened fairly recently. I'm encouraged by Rich Paul saying that you're a good guy. I feel like that moves the market price.
I don't know what to do about Chris Cody. To me, this is an egregious offense, getting something this wrong. I don't know why we believed this person. I don't know why anybody believed this person.
I sit by my tweet. I'm hearing things.
What do I do about the fact that Chris Cody, who is a progeny of Greg Cody, comes out and journalistically, with his first major report, gets it wrong? Gets a lot of traction, but is now known for getting it wrong.
So I can't be wrong.
I'm warming up to this is a really bad look for us because we're fairly credible on the LeBron front. I think we're still appointment viewing when it comes to all things LeBron. Dan is an authority on it. Dan had access to Pat Riley. We're to be taken seriously. And on the other side, you have Chris Cody doing whatever he was doing, and I mean that just on the gummy front, like whatever he was doing.
Well, how do we push the agenda that he's Chris Cody, producer of the Greg Cody Show, as opposed to Chris Cody of Meadowlark Media?
We should distance ourselves.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
I would like to distance ourselves formally, professionally, by firing him for. I believe that if you do this and get it wrong, it is a fireable offense.
And he leaves us in the foxhole because he went on holiday and he set off a grenade, right? Like that's our mess to clean up.
World Cup's over. You don't need to call it holiday.
Again, I'm going to keep asking you guys. I think you're just going to be in support of your teammate, and you're just going to keep saying,
that's right.
yeah, there should be no consequences.
I mean,
there
to be
should
fair,
never
though,
be
Dan,
any...
to be fair, he got 500,000 views on that. It's eyeballs to what's going on, and he has the perfect out. The out is, hey, it didn't happen. LeBron must have saw my tweet and said, you know what? I'm not going to give this guy
It's not the perfect out, Tony.
Proud of our show's collective credibility when it comes out with conviction and reports things. Like, it's a bad look for Dan, and anytime one of the shipping container members comes out with a report, which is something I've done in the past, this is a knock on that credibility.
Oh, but Mike, you haven't gotten it wrong. In fact, I would say that you have used this platform to establish yourself as somebody whose information is good. One of the few people, actually, that when you say things, you have not gotten a dent to your reputation. You've reported giant stories around here, including Messi coming to Miami. You haven't gotten any of them wrong. By the way, Andrew Marchant is saying that when he called Karl Ravitch this morning, that Karl Ravitch hadn't known that he was being fired.
That's happening. That's going around. This is not being handled well, and I think it's going to be a really bad day and a lot of instances in which they are not handling it the right way. Karl Ravitch certainly deserves much better.
So for those of you who do not know the details on our story, the place that I was most hurt by everything that happened at ESPN is that one of you told me that Chris had been let go. That's like, how do you
Yeah,
not?
we didn't find out in the press. Like, you were taping Highly Questionable, and we were in a Zoom meeting of sorts.
But he was let go, and then you guys told me. That's not the right way either. What is the right way to fire somebody? You're supposed to tell them first. Ryan Clark evidently, reportedly, was told during taping
They did
yesterday.
tell Chris before they told us. That Chris was alerted first. This one, I don't know. Like, there were reports that ESPN is worried about leaks, so they're not doing this the right way.
Well, there was a leak.
Yeah, I guess
There was.
This is bad. I feel really bad for Karl Ravitch.
There was a leak, and that's why Ryan Clark was informed in the middle of his work shift, because they weren't going to make it until this morning, where this is all apparently happening.
That's a real tough look. I don't know what the play is there, but to have a dude in the middle of a show and then disappear, that's real
Like,
tough.
what do you do in that spot? Like, I don't know the correct answer.
I don't know. The breakdown in communication is Ryan Clark was on that show.
Well, I think the breakdown is the leak.
Well, they didn't want, just so you understand how it is that happened, they did not want him to find out by getting off the air and then immediately checking the internet and finding out that way. So they tried to get out ahead of it by telling him before he read it in the press. But now what Ravitch is getting today is he's getting the call from the reporter instead of getting it from his employer.
I don't think you're understanding what I'm saying on the Ryan Clark front is you have whoever knows that this is going to be the decision reach out to one of the producers, one of the schedulers, and make sure that talent that is on this chopping block is not scheduled so you don't have to deal with a problem like that.
So I see the picture of Chris Cody behind Tony, and I don't know why any of you would trust this person. Can you explain to me, Zaz, why this only got the traction that it did? Because he's on our show. That's the reason that it got the traction. That's the reason this wasn't just another gas bag who was on the internet who is saying a thing that has no credibility. So he has taken our credibility, used it to get the attention, gotten it wrong, and now Tony says, because we're teaching the wrong things around here, he's got the perfect out. He got the attention, and it doesn't matter that he's totally wrong.
It's also the fact that he has followers on that social media like Mark Stein or Dave McMenamin, Don Van Natta, Mina Kimes, David Dwork, like real power brokers in the industry, in the information game.
Tony laughed a little hard at David Dwork, while Roy didn't laugh at all at David Dwork.
I love Dworky.
It's just not a name you hear like Dwork. I mean the surname.
Yeah, Dwork isn't, his name does work against him. But look at Chris Cody in this photo and tell me, does he have a bit of cocaine on his lip? Is this the Robbie Williams brand cocaine that is falling out of his mouth and is on his lip as he tries to break a story and instead breaks a media company's reputation? Because it looks pretty clearly like something on his lip that could be spittle. I thought it was spittle with Robbie Williams, and then you guys thought it was cocaine, and then he apologized saying it was just a mint.
Let's actually close the loop on Robbie Williams, because in true Robbie Williams fashion, he did release a video in such a charming fashion. Here is Robbie Williams, and for those listening in the audio audience, there is a sight gag at the end of this where there's a grand reveal. We'll explain it later. But first, a fake sincere video from Robbie Williams.
Just like to apologise for the object that fell onto the microphone yesterday. It was deeply unprofessional, and people worried about me, but it's okay because I had several more.
So he's revealing mints in his mouth, but questions still remain. Why would you stick the mint to your forehead, Robbie, is a question that I still have. But it is more believable than what the internet suggested, just given the security measures.
I agree with Zaz on his take on Riley. I will say also that Riley and just about every coach I've ever met goes into whatever the press conferences are and the messaging of answering reporter questions with what it is that they want to say, and it does not matter what the questions are. They're just going to say what they want to say. So I don't think it's old age. I think it's a lot of experience from Riley on dodging questions. And
yeah, we all agree there. I think he came in with an agenda, and you were going to ask him what you wanted to ask him, and he was going to say what he wanted to say.
I mean, Dan, you asked him where did it start to go wrong after Bam blocked Jason Tatum in Game 1 of the 2020 Eastern Conference Finals, and he started talking about acquiring Alonzo in 1995.
If I'm Pat, though, I think the smart thing is to not highlight the last few years where the Miami Heat have dipped in form and not put out the results.
Well, he wouldn't cop to a mistake. I asked him twice. I followed with the idea of what has been your greatest mistake on how you fell behind the Celtics, and his response twice was we should have lost more.
Yeah, I project success. The last thing I do is highlight recent failings. If I'm Miami, I'm a big brand. I'm an attractive destination. I'm exactly what LeBron needs. I'm not talking about Jimmy Butler. That does not serve my interest here.
The only thing I found revealing was, because we all know the story of when the big three were introduced on the stage, and at the last minute, because the deal hadn't even been finalized yet, the guys wanted the extra years, and so it ended up having to be a sign and trade, and Riley had to give up some draft picks. We all knew that. The part that I thought was revealing, where then he also added, if he didn't have to give up those draft picks, he had moves lined up and ready to go with those draft picks to bring in other players. That part I had never heard.
Yeah, it's one of the big underreported things about what happened with the big three, about how Pat Riley essentially rebuilt the Cavs for them, and LeBron used that kind of okey-doke move. Give me additional years that I'm going to end up opting out of and not actually take, and rebuild my next destination. It put them behind the 8 ball, no doubt, but it leads me to ask you this question. LeBron did what he did. He won one for Cleveland. That was immense, huge for his legacy. The Lakers one is always going to be looked at weirdly. COVID probably has a large deal with that. But Miami made it back to the finals after losing LeBron, after losing Wade, after losing Chris Bosh to Klotz. They were in a tough situation after losing to the Spurs, no doubt. We were all asking the same questions. Wade's getting older. Is this really the best place for him to win? It was a solid conversation back then. But the point I'm trying to make is, do you think LeBron wins 2 or fewer if he never left Miami? Because I think he ends up winning more than the 2 titles he won away.
So over the years, Riley has said a number of things about this. One of the things that he has told me is that if LeBron had re-signed, he was ready to retire because he was going to leave it so that it would be a dynasty, trying to use some of those other picks to have him end his career here and be here the entirety of the time. What I hadn't also heard from that conversation, he just called it extortion by Leon Rose, who runs the Knicks since. So now you have the Knicks are your reigning champions, and what Riley described is they're all getting ready to go out on the pyrotechnic stage, and that's when he lost the draft picks. That's when he lost the ability to trade those people. He calls it flat extortion because those guys didn't even know, evidently, that it was going to be a stage in pyrotechnics. They didn't know what exactly was going to happen there. And in the minutes, I'm going to say, before they come out on stage, Pat Riley ends up losing the draft picks because they don't come here strictly as free agents. He's got to give up the capital all of a sudden to get them. But he thought that he was building something that was going to last for 10 years. As what do you think is the answer to his question? Because I do think that LeBron made himself forever golden specifically by winning the one in Cleveland. He was aided by how hard it was here, that they didn't go from stage to winning 72 games, that they lost at the beginning, that it was hard, so he gets credit. But I believe that LeBron doing the ring chasing, the super teaming, and all the things that he did, I believe he doesn't get reputationally what he gets from one in Cleveland if he wins even 3 more here.
No, the redemption arc is a huge part of LeBron's legacy, and I can be talked into the one in Cleveland is tantamount to more elsewhere. That's not the question that I'm asking, because I think that's a more complicated discussion, and one that Miami's probably not viewed in a favorable light with. My question is, do they win more than 2 titles? The 2 titles that LeBron won elsewhere, understanding that the one in Cleveland counts for more in terms of going back home, and that's huge for him. But if we're just counting rings, and we're having the LeBron-Jordan discussion about 6 rings, that's an iconic number in that sport, I'm of the belief, with a great deal of conviction, LeBron is routinely in the finals, and LeBron wins more than the 2 he won elsewhere. And the only thing that I need to lean on is they survived LeBron leaving, Wade leaving, all the concerns, even the Bosch clots, and they were back in that conversation 5 years later.
Okay, I think it's a fun question, but it's not just about what the Heat and what Riley would have been able to put together if LeBron had stayed. Would whatever Riley had been able to put together been better than those exact same Warriors teams that he ran into 4 straight years? I think that's also a major part of the equation.
You have to keep in mind, the Warriors had some luck with like the broken teams that they ended up playing in the finals. Miami, with a LeBron-centric team and Eric Spoelstra at the helm, we don't really know what those rosters would have looked at. It takes a great deal of belief that they would have figured out to put the pieces around LeBron, like other lesser reputable front offices.
Put it on the poll. If LeBron had spent the last 17 years in Miami, does he win more than 4? Yes or no? That's the question Mike is asking there, and I want to sort of explore what it is that I was talking about earlier. In my history in South Florida, there is no one inside or outside of sports who has taught me more about what it takes to win than Pat Riley. The idea is that at 81 years old, he's still doing this. Go across all of sports. You're not going to find a lot of older executives. It's going to be like Jerry Jones, Mike Brown, Jerry Reinsdorf. It's going to be people who are owners who insist on having the power. The oldest person in baseball who's an executive is Dave Dombrowski. He's 10 years younger than Pat Riley. The oldest executive in hockey is Gary Bettman. He's the commissioner of the league, and he's almost 10 years younger than Riley. He's still doing it because he wants to get the punctuation right, and he thought he had it right. The reason he was so wounded beyond the ego blow of LeBron leaving is because he says he was going to leave too. He was going to get out. Now, I don't believe him.
I don't believe him either.
I don't believe that.
But still, that is what he says, that he was going to leave it in LeBron's hands because he would stay here and build around it, and instead it looks like we're looking at the oldest player in the league being here because of how well it fits and how obviously well it fits. But to me, it's really weird what's happened specifically over the last 2 weeks, where nothing substantive has changed except for the conversation. How do we go from LeBron being rejected by the Lakers and all of us saying, oh, it'd be interesting if he played with Steph, to nobody now thinking that he's going to play with Steph, and all the things that Rich Paul is putting in the news stream? This isn't about dollars. This isn't about championship chasing. Then what's it about? If it's not about either one of those things, what the hell is it about? It's not about playing with his son anymore either.
It's about golf and oil.
I think what's interesting with Riley that I saw yesterday, he comes across like the Heat fan is all nervous and waiting and anxious, and Riley, whose job it is, who's at the center of this, he comes across very matter of fact, where it's, he'll decide. I'm not calling Rich Paul and bugging him. Like, he'll decide when he decides. He's earned that right, and, we hope he chooses us. And you throw in the part about Riley wants the punctuation to end his career, wouldn't you figure like if Riley is attached to the lie detector, wouldn't he be super anxious because this punctuation to his career, he has no control over. Literally no control over. Just has to hope, hopefully soon, this guy decides to give Riley the punctuation that he feels that he not deserves, but has earned, has longed for.
I don't know why you keep doing this at 81 years old from out of the playoffs, unless it's because you want to get the punctuation better than it presently is, where everyone in the conference has passed you. And I don't know how many of you are at a craps table or gambling and you've got the big stack, and by the time you leave the table, it's never with the big stack. You always lose. Like, very few people leave the table with the big stack. They leave with less than whatever was the biggest stack. This stack for Pat Riley is about as low as it's been at any time in Miami. Like pre-Giannis trade or pre-proof of whatever it is this team is. The last season that we just saw, where in a league where everyone's tanking, the Heat barely win more games than they lose and are, middle of the road in the conference, below average in the conference, in a weaker conference. I think that it is rare for the stack of chips to be as low, but he's just pushed them all to the center of the table in a way that is really aggressive. And I just don't believe for a second that it isn't with the idea that LeBron is coming here. Because another thing he did say, we need a playmaker. And so if it's not LeBron, is it DeRozan? Is it Westbrook?
Have you watched Trey Donaldson in Summer League?
Is it Bradley Beal? He's going to go.
We got LeBron at home.
He's going to go with older players. Look, man, I remember when he was starting to build this nonsense here, it was always, let's go get Dan Marley, even though his back does not function in any way. And I'm going to have Dan Marley guarding Allen Houston at the end.
Thunder. Oh, you overplayed him, Dan.
Because the guys I trust are always going to be the older guys. He's not trusting. Look, he trusted young guys the last 7 years. How'd that go for him? Like, he trusted Jimmy Butler and a bunch of young guys.
I mean, you got to stay in front of Houston there. He overplayed that inbound so bad. He gave Houston the lane there. Alonzo didn't come over and help. The ball bounces around. You stick a knife in my heart. How do you overplay that, Thunder? Come on, stay in front of your man.
That's what Pat Riley trusts. He always trusts the old people. You know this. He's going back to all in with a bunch of old people. Before we finish the local hour here, I do want to tell people why we're wearing these bracelets here, these Camp Fiesta bracelets that Jesse made us. It's because Jeremy every year does some camp counseling where he raises some money. What are the details on what it is that you're doing this year, Jeremy?
Thanks, Dan. Camp Fiesta is a 9-day sleepaway summer camp for kids with cancer based here in South Florida. It was our 40-year anniversary last year. So this camp has been making an impact down here for years and years and years, thanks to partnering with several local hospitals and getting kids from all across South Florida, now kids all across the state of Florida who are going through pediatric cancer treatment. And it's a way for them to all come together and share experiences, sometimes not even talking about what's going on with them, but just knowing that they're around kids who have been through something like them. So many kids who go through treatment have been ostracized, spending time away from school and having difficulty socially. So this is a chance for us to bring everyone together, and it is a total non-for-profit. So we raise all of the money for Camp Fiesta through fundraising, through donations. If you are someone who's listening and can afford to spend a couple of bucks, it's campfiesta.com/donate. But I'm there every year. I'm very lucky to have been born into this camp. My family's been helping to run it.
I've
since the
never
very beginning.
seen anyone who looks more like a camp counselor than you. You look, in the history of my meeting people, you were the person among all human beings I've ever encountered who looks the most like a camp counselor and also gives off the general energy of a camp counselor as well, where it's like, go get him, kid.
Yeah, that's right.
What about Tim Tebow?
Tim Tebow's a good one.
Fernando Mendoza is
That man, all right, that's King of the Mountain.
Is it Fernando Mendoza?
Yeah, King of the Mountain.
I would say his quarterback partner there, Kirk Cousins, is in the ballpark there too.
Ooh, he does sort of look like that. I was thinking because camp counselors are in all sorts of shapes and sizes. Like
Caitlin Clark.
Caitlin Clark is a really good one. Caitlin Clark is a really good one.
Steph Curry?
What about Tim Lincecum?
Yeah.
Tim
Oh.
Lincecum.
Yeah.
Lincecum is sneaking off and go smoke weed.
Yes. Have you ever been to camp?
Yeah,
Yeah.
what's a camp counselor?
I was a camp counselor.
All right.
That's
And what did you
what
do?
I did.
You were
Right, exactly.
Yeah. And your dealer was Tim Lincecum.
The idea that at the ESPYs, you guys tell me, did the Knicks beat? The Knicks were awarded best team, correct? For the ESPYs, the best team of the year. How do you do that to the Indiana Hoosiers? Like, in what world are the Knicks a better story as best team than the Indiana Hoosiers? Put this on the poll as well. Did the ESPYs make the Knicks the best team just so they'd show up to the ceremony? Is that what happened? You can't make. In what world are the Knicks? Explain it to me, Zaz. Are the Knicks a better team story than the single greatest surprise in the history of college football?
I don't know. Knicks winning the championship is a pretty big surprise. It's 53 years.
But it's the history of college football. Are the Knicks the biggest surprise in the history of basketball?
I don't know. Who cares? Indiana Hoosiers give a shit.
What do you mean, who gives a shit? We care about college football, and Indiana's never been any good at football, and they just put together the best season in the history of college football, beat everybody, undefeated. Their quarterback wins the Heisman Trophy, and I'll say it again, it's Indiana.
If Roy didn't say the thing, they wouldn't even have won the
Exactly
championship.
right.
That's true, Roy.
All right, I saw the interception coming. Don't blame me. Blame the guy who threw it.
No.
Yeah,
I blame
yeah.
you because you said it. It's your fault. My deathbed.
It's both your fault.
Okay.
You did say it, and you said it before it happened.
And the concussion. Yeah, he was concussed. Concussion had a part to do
But
with
Roy
it.
had the bigger part to play.
But Roy probably saw the concussion.
We all did.
We all did.
And I was like, you don't take him
And
out
we
of the
didn't say-
game.
and what did
You
say?
don't
And
take
what did
him out.
say? didn't
You
say
don't
anything.
take him out.
You didn't say anything. Exactly right.
Emery was already on his way to East Carolina. Do that.
Dan Le
Talking to
Batard's
Dan.
good, by the way.
Turned on? Do you like
Dangling.
breathing hot neck?
What's going on here?
Do you like
Sexy.
breathing hot neck?
You have been dry humped many, many times. Intimate. You have been dry humped many, many times.
A little pelvic thrust situation?
I like that.
Have you ever consoled a naked man before?
What does it feel like to get dry humped?
SLPP.
I've never consoled a naked man.
Breathing hot neck?
I've never consoled a naked man.
Many, many times.
SLPP.
People out there, stop sending me pictures of the hotel rooms with the chair, okay? Stop sending those to me.
I like that. I like that.
He was naked.
Intimate.
Dangling.
I would hold that thing really tight.
How would you do it?
What's going on here?
Do you like
Sexy.
breathing hot neck? Do you like breathing hot neck?
I've been dry humped.
You never know.
I've been dry humped.
Many, many times.
I've never consoled a naked man.
You ever consoled a naked man?
I've never consoled a naked man.
Many, many times.
You never know. I like that.
You know what I'm talking about.
Let's go to another, though, Argentinian call because there is blatant homerism involved with these calls. This is Pablo Giralt.
Otro centro más de Messi, va pasado. A ver que le pega Messi al arco. ¡La puta madre, gol! ¡Argentino! Carajo! ¡Nunca te dejó de creer! ¡Vamos, Argentina, carajo! ¡Vamos, Argentina, carajo! 2-2. ¡Aquí está el campeón del mundo! ¡Aquí está el campeón del mundo! ¡Vamos, Argentina de mi vida! ¡Nunca quedarse por vencido! 2-2. ¡Vamos, Leo de mi vida! ¡Vamos, leyenda! ¡Leo de mi vida, de mi corazón! ¡Vamos, leyenda! ¡Vamos, Leo viejo nomás! ¡Vamos, Leo viejo nomás! 2-2, Juan Pablo. Esto no ha terminado. No termina hasta que suene la campana, compañero. 2-2.
So some of you might want a translation, and I'm pretty sure I heard in there your mother's a slut.
I think I heard MFer there.
Amongst others.
But did he actually say puta madre? Did I hear that?
I thought I heard that, which I can't believe.
We might need a replay on it just to get ears on it again.
Well, Tony, you're going to have to, I'm going to need your help here. You translate as much as you can. Let's get all the Spanish we got in the room because it happens very fast here. But I heard your mother's a slut in the middle of that, and that seems like not what Al Michaels would have done during a historic 1980s call for the U.S. Olympic team.
Do you believe in miracles, motherfucker?
Do you believe in miracles? Puta madre. Let me see if I've got this right. Let's write as much of this down as we can.
Otro centro más de Messi, va pasado. A ver que le pega Messi al arco.
This episode of the Dan Le Batard Show is presented by DraftKings Sports. DraftKings, the crown is yours.
Want to get this out there now, beat the rush. I think the Brewers, for all the talk about the Dodgers making it unfair and the sport needing a salary cap, I think the Brewers are going to beat the Dodgers, and I believe the Brewers are better than everybody else in the sport, and we will find out together whether I end up being right on that or not. They ransacked the Marlins the same way that the Guardians did, and I'd like to talk a little bit more about whether or not the Marlins are going to be buyers or sellers at the trade deadline, but we will do that tomorrow because some of the things happening today that are more interesting is it seems that there is a real movement here. Heather Dinich is saying the possibility of the SEC breaking away from the NCAA, it's very real. Stan Verrett is saying it's all moving in one direction. Eventually, the four big conferences will break away, form their own league, hire their own commissioner, make their own rules, at least for football. The NCAA is on borrowed time already. And I find interesting specifically about what is happening at the University of Miami, Zaz, because some of the most painful, boring, terrible reporting I've had to do in my career was many, many years ago when all of the University of Miami football power was as strong as it's ever been. They were deciding where they were going to play in which conference. They chose the ACC because it was a basketball school and they wanted to be stronger at basketball. But I believe Miami is as a brand, even though it has not been relevant for 20 years before the last few, Miami as a brand, I believe, is in the Notre Dame category of being at football bigger than its conference. And it's an unusual thing to say because it wasn't that long ago that FSU was great, not just under Bobby Bowden. It was pretty recently that FSU had an undefeated team that might have won the title if not for their quarterback getting hurt. So the University of Miami finds itself in a position right now during these weird times where I believe they have real power. I believe the next athletic director they have is going to work for Mario Cristobal. That has not been the case for 20 years. The football coach hasn't actually had the clout in this market to be something that's bigger than the athletic program, that the coach can make the athletic director sort of his administrative assistant, his CEO on business, because what you have as a football brand is the thing that matters most, matters more than the basketball brands, certainly matters more than the ACC in football, might not matter more than the ACC in basketball because the ACC has the same sort of history, brand history that Miami does at football, but I don't see the point of Miami not trying to use whatever this power is to get into this game where we're an SEC team. Like, we've got the power to be an SEC team, to feel like what is at the top of that conference. And I just find interesting what's happening right now where they don't really have an athletic director and they kind of need to get into the game of getting Mario Cristobal the power so that he is running the program and the department the way that Nick Saban ran the department at Alabama.
I think I may have forgot that they don't have an athletic director. Like, how are we still doing this? What's the holdup here?
It's curious. They're moving. What the holdup is that they got caught on the Yormark thing. Like, Michael Yormark was going
thank
to
God
be
then.
the next AD, and the toxic reaction to that undid that, and so they started back from square one. But they don't feel the need to hurry, which doesn't really, to me at least, doesn't really align with what Joe Echeverria told Joe Rose that he's looking for out of the position. You just highlighted it yourself, Dan. Like, college football is literally reshaping itself right now with these breakaway talks. It is a fluid conversation. Joe Echeverria said he wanted someone that is forward-thinking, aggressive, with the foresight to know and shape where college football is going in the future. So it's a very curious time to not have an AD. Miami feels like it can run that athletic department without an AD because, look, Dan Radakovich brought in a great reputation, did bring credibility, but by the end of it, he was a man that was retiring, and they felt like they could. The athletic department was kind of moving on without him anyways. But it also operates as if you weren't just about to make the worst received hire in the history of South Florida sports. I don't really understand the lack of urgency, considering everything that you've said that you wanted from the athletic director is to make deals. Well, camp starts in a couple of weeks. There's not a lot of time for this person to be the game changer that you said you wanted out of the position immediately. It just doesn't fit what Joe Echeverria said he wanted from the position. And as someone that is worried about these SEC talks, worried about how Miami fits in, I actually think the Big Ten is probably a better fit. I'm not totally thrilled by not having the ass kicker that Joe Echeverria described in place.
Zaslow, you are somebody who throughout the college football season for ESPN travels all over the country covering college football. We are at a place where the tectonic plates are shifting. Like, this is all going to look very different very soon. You cannot have this amount of business and greed around America's second most popular sport, and as few rules as we have, and as few understandings about the future that we have. Because if I tell you right now, what is the practical impact to anybody listening to this of the SEC breaking away from everything in college football and saying, bleep it, we're going to be our own conference.
Mm-hmm.
None of these other games matter the way that our games matter on Saturday.
I'd like to chew on the SEC thing a little bit. Do it. Leave. See how much you like that. See how much you like that. In fact, go ahead. Cut your losses now, because the narrative surrounding your conference, the air gets let out every passing season because now everyone else can pay for players. And we're seeing that play out. Your precious little Alabama crown jewel is not what it was. So go ahead and leave. Take your ball and go home. See if anybody wants to watch your champion, your league. Because to not compare it to the rest of the nation, good luck with that. I don't think it's appealing. And I don't think it works in your best interest. And I don't think your threat has the juice that it would have had 5 years ago. Go ahead and leave. I'm with that attitude. Pick up your ball. Go home. See how much you like that.
Zaz, what are the practical effects, though, in terms of the viewership experience and how the customer feels about any of it? Because I would say that over my history covering college football, one of the things that makes it most different regionally everywhere is the value for tradition. Baseball has moved away from the value of tradition without it hurting at all. If you need tomorrow's fan in the next generation, what does that have to pay attention to history or tradition? What difference does it make if we splinter all of this? And do you agree with my assessment that the University of Miami, if it is great at football, is bigger than the ACC?
Yeah, I think, Mike, I think you're overstating what it would mean for the SEC if they were to break away. Like what you're saying as far as their prowess as far as the games go, that makes sense because the SEC is not the big bad SEC, at least the last few years when it comes to how good the teams are. But that wouldn't matter if they break away because you're still talking about the numbers of the numbers. Like when
people are still going to watch the game, but go ahead, crown your fake ass champion. Like it does let the air out of the whole thing. Part of the SEC reputation is that there are these ass kickers that would trounce all the other conferences when they're just beating themselves up and don't have any proof that they can kick the ass of the other conferences.
But they don't seem to care about that.
No, it allows them to shape their narrative. But again, it's a phony narrative. It's not the case anymore. The Big Ten is winning national championships. An independent is in that conversation regularly in Notre Dame. Miami has come back onto the scene. So go ahead and leave. Like it's not. What does that look like? To me, it's kind of whack.
I don't think that's actually a reality.
We'll have the rest of college football and the SEC just off doing their own thing, and not just in college football, but all sports. Go ahead and do that. Go ahead. That seems super whack to me.
I know Greg Sankey mentioned it, what was it, yesterday, where, hey, this is something that's still being talked about. But to me, that's just lip service. Saying it's something that athletic directors and school presidents are talking about, I mean, that doesn't mean that they're actually negotiating leaving the NCAA and doing their own thing. To me, that's just posturing.
Yeah, and it sets up for where this is eventually headed, which is all those majors banding together and forming their own league. But
right, and that, hey, if that gives us some type of college football commissioner, I'm for that. Can we get somebody who can lay down some rules and some laws and regulations here? If that's going to, I don't want the SEC to break off on its own, but if they're going to break off with the other major conferences and you actually have a body of government that can rule what's going on here and keep things in order, yeah, I'm good with that.
I will continue to say that all of the people who are covering college football in the off season and have a great deal more knowledge than I do, and whatever it is that you're hearing as homerism from me on the University of Miami program, last year is obviously something that was special to the University of Miami, but it's a beginning more than an ending. Everyone who is talking about what this team is doing in recruiting suggests to me that the amount of power and the amount of business that can be built around the $90 million contract that they gave Mario Cristobal, they're going to have ended up getting him cheap because they're going to be good in a way that they used to be good every year in the conversation because they're getting much better players. Mensah says that he came down here because he saw specifically what they did with Cam Ward and Beck, surrounding them and creating a pipeline to the pros.
Why wouldn't that happen every year?
That's the thing. If you could just take it, it just got so much easier for Miami based on last season. It was hard to get Cam Ward. As I recall, Cam Ward was not the first choice. Then that allowed you to get Beck. Everybody wanted Beck. But the play now is going to be all the quarterbacks are going to want to come here. It's not about you going to have to go get the quarterback. You're going to have your choice of quarterbacks because they all understood Dorsey was not Dorsey because he was that good. It's because all of his teammates were that good. Gino Torretta did not win a Heisman Trophy because he was that good. What were his stats that year? 19 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, something absurd.
It's shocking when you go back. I was expecting. I remember one day I went back and I looked at his numbers. I thought one of the years was going to say 40 touchdowns.
So the pursuits of the last two portal quarterbacks were harrowing. Cam Ward was the top choice. Was a top choice, and Miami put itself in an all-or-nothing situation because he was a top choice, and they valued him over Will Howard by enough.
I'm sorry,
of a goal.
I didn't mean to say he wasn't their top choice. I meant to say that among the college football landscape, not everybody was looking at Cam Ward as the top choice.
Although I think rivals had him as the top portal quarterback, but look, Will Howard was in the portal. He ended up winning a national title. The following year, Carson Beck was not their top choice, and Carson Beck like Cam Ward, had announced that he was entering the NFL draft, and a lot of great quarterbacks came off the board, and then you were once again left with, for a different reason, an all-or-nothing situation. And then in year 3, once again, Mensa was an inspired deal. No one knew that he was even on the table. He had a multi-year NIL agreement with Duke, and that was going to be a controversial one that came with a mess. He wasn't the top choice either because he wasn't a practical choice. He wasn't a practical option. Other guys came off the board, and Miami, once again, back up against a wall, they found a way to get the best guy. That is not sustainable. It is not great for your heart health, I'll tell you that.
Gino Torretta's Heisman year, he threw for 3,060 yards, 19 touchdowns, 7 interceptions with a 7.6 yards per attempt.
What was his completion percentage?
57%.
Yeah, 56.7.
That's not good.
It's a different sport.
That's amazing because as a kid, Gino Torretta was the greatest quarterback.
Was 19 touchdowns like 55 touchdowns? Like, what was that back then?
Well, he led the country in yards per game with 278.
Different sport.
Can you look up for me,
Amazing.
please, just what the schedule was that year so I can find out how many times he threw 14 touchdowns against, or 4 touchdowns against San Diego State or whatever to get up to that 19 total?
San Diego State was good that year.
Iowa,
Marshall Falk.
FAMU, Arizona, Florida State, Penn State, TCU, Virginia Tech, West Virginia, Temple, Syracuse, San Diego State, Alabama.
What a schedule.
How many top 10 teams is that? That's 1, 2, 3, 4 top 10 teams.
That's not what I was asking you. Where did the 19 touchdowns come from? Like, what I was asking is how many of the 19 touchdowns were against those top 10 teams and how many of the 19 touchdowns were against not those top 10 teams?
I mean, 4 top 10 wins, though.
Yeah.
That's a big deal.
Yes, agreed. I just think that the University of Miami now finding itself back in the place where it's bigger than the conference. Clemson felt like that for a little bit, but the only times really that I think that in the history of the conference that the conference has felt like it has one team that's like Notre Dame is FSU and Miami. Those are the two. Did Clemson feel like that to you? That Clemson could break off, like obviously they won championships,
Yeah,
but
I mean,
that Clemson could break off and feel like Notre Dame to you.
They did it against Bama. They did it against heyday Alabama. Documentaries will be made about the series between Clemson and Alabama. So Clemson had a lot of juice back then. But as the ratings have reflected, when Miami is good, that white helmet with the U on it, it does flash more than other programs.
Christopher Nolan, I don't know where you guys would place him on
What a director.
on your list of best directors ever. If he would be a top 5 best director ever, put it on the poll. Juju, please, at Le Batard Show. Is Christopher Nolan top 5 director ever? The Odyssey is a movie that was both very difficult to make and very expensive to make. He used a kind of camera that, look this up for me, please, Jeremy. How many theaters can that play in across America where it's a movie that is watched the way Christopher Nolan intends for it to be watched? Because I heard some people saying it was fewer than 10 theaters across America have the capacity to play the movie because it's burning through projectors with the equipment that they used, and it's making them start smoking, literally start smoking, where it burns the projectors because of the materials they're using. Matt Damon is saying that a movie will never get made like this again, that this is the last movie of its kind.
Until the next Christopher Nolan movie. There's a lot of theaters that have the capability to
How many
show
are
70
smoking the
millimeter.
projectors?
That's a good movie if the projector starts smoking.
That can't be true, Dan. Where did you see that?
But there's certainly more than 10. I think in the state of Florida alone, like we're approaching close to like 15, 20.
It says there are 41 theaters worldwide and 24 or potentially 25 where you could see that in the United States.
The entire movie was filmed with IMAX cameras. It's the first movie start to finish that used IMAX cameras. But while some are, breathless over the Odyssey, and I get it, it's a tremendous aspirational
I can't
type
stop
of movie
thinking about
making.
it.
Yeah, it was incredible. It also speaks
Whatever,
to...
man. What are you laughing
You can't
at?
stop thinking about
Yeah,
it? What are you,
right.
what are you thinking about it?
What are you thinking
Stop
about?
thinking about it.
Tell us what you're thinking.
I want to read everything about it. I want to know
How about you
everything
read the
I
book?
can.
How about that?
What? You know, the Odyssey was a poem.
Read it.
Time Magazine had a review, and I read an encapsulation of their review that just cut out a certain part of it, and it kind of connected with me. Because the reaction to Christopher Nolan, and I'm like, he's just making movies. They're big. They feel super ambitious. There's a lot of money that goes into it, but why does this feel the way that it does? And so Time Magazine said, we want and need more movie artistry and more dedication to the craft, which Christopher Nolan, no matter what you think of him, surely espouses. But a movie still needs to add up to something you actually want to watch. We've reached a point where we get so few extravagant, ambitious studio movies that we're expected to collapse with gratitude whenever we're presented with one. That's not opening ourselves to what movies can be. It's succumbing to a kind of hostage taking.
What is happening that we're talking around here all the time about with streaming is there's an antisepticness happening to movie making because you have the streamers so involved in this and they're not movie making studios. Amazon Prime, Apple, Netflix, and they're also corporately compromised in a way that keeps them from making the kind of movie that's going to piss anybody off with its subject matter. They're going to be very careful about that.
Go on.
But you dismissed what it is that I said because I had the number wrong, and I said it was like 8 theaters, but Jeremy came on and just told you that basically a blockbuster movie has been made and it's available in 1 out of every 2 states in the United States.
No, it's available everywhere.
Right.
That's just if you want to watch it to like the full capability, 70 millimeter and on IMAX as well.
But that's what I'm saying. Yes, it's available anywhere, but the way that the director intended for you to see it, it is only available in 1 of every 2 states the way that he is making the art and wishes to present it to you.
It's an absolute crock. Oh, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to make sure that the only way that people can really see my vision is by paying $987 to go to the movies with their entire family because I'm going to do the most expensive thing so that way we're going to be able to go. Mike spent $75 on the ticket.
No. I saw it in a standard theater, and
Attaboy, good for you.
I enjoyed my experience.
I might pirate it.
Well,
You're going to sit there with a camera?
I might pirate it.
Yeah, I saw it in a standard one.
What are you going to do?
I don't know what I was missing out
I've already
on.
seen the movie. What's the matter with you?
You can't stop thinking.
You can't stop thinking about it.
Yeah,
Buy my
why is that
pirate
funny
one.
to you?
I don't understand. Like
The movie made me feel.
Everyone's talking about it. It's one of the great pieces of literature ever
Movie's
created.
so good. I wanted to cheer in the middle of the movie.
It's required reading. We've all read the Odyssey in high school, yeah? Like we're all familiar.
Tony, did you know how to read in high school?
I knew how to read in high school, didn't read the Odyssey.
Well, like you're familiar with parts of the story, if not all the story, because you've seen movies like Troy and like even 300, which is derivative. Like you're familiar with Greek mythology, so you know you're at least familiar with the source material. And yeah, it's hugely ambitious, but also it kind of sucks that it feels so much more ambitious by comparison.
What Christopher Nolan does gets all of my admiration because I find completely overwhelming, just completely overwhelming, his starting points on the things that he decides to make. He does not tackle anything that is small or simple. It's the galaxy. It's just stuff that he tackles that is so wildly ambitious that I get overwhelmed by the size of his ambition.
Which is why Tenet missed the mark for so many.
Movie,
yeah, but like these are really difficult, and he's largely been rewarded for the ambition and the difficulty and what's required of the viewer. It is an elevated experience, and I think people appreciate that. I've seen some quotes that maybe he wants to strip it down a little bit, and if this film is any indication, and his quotes are hinting in one direction, he might do something in the horror genre. And given some of the practical effects between the Cyclops scene and the Cersei stuff, like that, there was stuff there that it was really uncomfortable to watch. He kind of invented a new way to do some horror GFX that I'm into.
Well, the practical effects are part of what made Obsession great, and that's where the quotes you're talking about come from, Mike. He said of Obsession to The Hollywood Reporter, "You have to have an amazing idea. When you go to see a film like Obsession, that movie works like a mother bleeper. It's not about the technical side. It's about story." And that's what's so fascinating about this is he took something that we all know, the Odyssey, and was able to present it in a new way, a unique way, and using his type of aggrandized filmmaking style it really captured people like Zaz. And all of these men who were like, is this what empathy is? Am I experiencing empathy?
The movie's
through a
about empathy?
warrior?
Is that what you were
it's
thinking
love
about
thy
the
neighbor.
whole time?
It's welcome people in.
I loved the message.
What was the message?
You want me to spoil it for you?
Yeah.
Why are you being such a jerk about the
I'm
Odyssey?
asking.
Because I got some theories.
I'm
What's
asking.
happening
I'm asking.
here?
I'm not going to pay $800.
I mean,
I'm
what?
not going to pay $800 to watch it. I'm going to pirate it.
No, you don't have to watch. You don't have to pay $800. You can go to Sunset Place, brother. Spend $7.
I mean, the message is essentially we need to treat people better. We need to treat people better, and that war is bad.
Yeah, war is bad. Jon Stewart interviewed Christopher Nolan on The Daily Show, and Jon Stewart somehow made it a sequel to Oppenheimer because
the message is very similar.
The prevailing message in Oppenheimer was Oppenheimer really struggled with the hell he unleashed on Earth. Like we've invented this capability, and it's just going to destroy the Earth. And not to give things away, spoiler alert, like Chris Nolan said on
Poem
a 3,000
came out thousands of years ago.
Yeah, on a 3,000-year-old piece of source material. But the reckoning that he had with the Trojan War really shined in a way that was celebrated in other films like Troy, which I loved. That's when movies were making more ambitious movies like this. Like the reckoning that Odysseus had.
He felt that he hurt the way that we live.
Yeah, and it was a lifelong pursuit of war and battles. He was a celebrated warrior, but going within those walls changed the man.
Put it on the poll at Le Batard Show. Did you need Matt Damon for you to understand that war is bad? Yes or no?
He's done that a couple times.
By the way, with him, he's always trying to get saved from something. He's up in Mars. He's trying to get saved. He's here. He's there. Like, figure it out.
Well, no one's trying to save him. He's saving himself.
Matt Damon's career has been really interesting. It's one of the biggest in the history of Hollywood. The idea that he and Ben Affleck came up together writing Good Will Hunting when they were in their early 20s, and Ben Affleck just sold an AI company. I don't know what is happening here. I really don't. He just sold an AI company to Netflix for $587 million. I did not even know. Did you know that? Put it on the poll at Le Batard Show. Did you know that Ben Affleck had a $587 million AI company?
He was on with Matt Damon on Rogan, and they were talking about the future of Hollywood and how he was producing, him and Matt were doing stuff with this AI to help Hollywood do X, Y, and Z. Like, he didn't really go into detail what it was, but now that it's sold for $587 million, like, we got to go.
Matt Damon has been spending a lot of time talking about the business and how much it has changed. And so when he says we're not going to be able to make the kind of movie that Christopher Nolan is making anymore, he does so with both an investment and a knowledge that the rest of us don't have when he says it, because of his understanding of not only where the business has been, but where it's going.
So I found one theater in Colorado, in Denver, that the projector broke. I didn't see anything about it overheating, but the people did have to wait outside for 45 minutes, and they were overheating because it was 90 degrees outside. But I'm going to keep looking.
Matt Damon certainly knows more, and I think he's speaking to a macro sense, but it's a weird quote from a guy that is at the center of a movie that is going to be profitable. It is going, for all the money that was spent in production and marketing and ambition, it is going to be a huge global success, and Christopher Nolan is going to get to be able to do that whenever he damn well pleases, because they always make money. So, no, it's not the end of it. If anything, it's encouraging, because the reception of this one is the biggest of Christopher Nolan's celebrated career.
The move that he made before this, though, was the rip on Netflix with Affleck. And when I heard him talking about what they did there, he said, among other things, I'm oversimplifying, but he's been talking a lot about this, and I've always found him interesting when he starts talking about it. He's like, I've got to repeat the premise of the movie 8 times during the movie because of how Netflix is now doing things. I have to keep explaining to people what it is that we're doing with our storytelling. That's not what they were doing with Good Will Hunting. Like, that's not when it's still one of the most amazing things to me in the history of Hollywood that Affleck and Damon wrote and made Good Will Hunting in their early 20s, that they were able to get the opportunity to do it, and that they made a movie that was that good.
I do think certain filmmakers are going to be given the Christopher Nolan green light.
And we're going to enter a golden age of filmmakers where those guys are the tastemakers. That becomes a conversation piece because a lot of people are uniting over the Odyssey. People feel like they're missing out on the water
feels
cooler
like an
discussion.
event.
It does. It is. And there are certain directors, even ones that are bursting on the scene, like Kaczynski, the director of Top Gun Maverick. He is being given an opportunity with his Miami Vice remake that other filmmakers wouldn't. They'd go on the cheap and not make it a period piece. That's a little bit more ambitious. That's way more expensive. But he's got the box office track record to do it. And I think that you're going to see studios investing in filmmakers and trusting that. And the marketing budget will be like, this guy is going to give you what Christopher Nolan made you feel.
I think part of what was or is exciting to me about the Odyssey, we've been looking forward probably for over a year when you saw that Christopher Nolan was making the Odyssey. And so there was this excitement level because it's Christopher Nolan. And then the movie delivered like above expectation. And I don't think you get that too often in movies where you are that excited for the movie and it was that good.
So at the IMAX theater in Hong Kong, they had an issue where the screen went blank about 10 minutes of the film left. The shopping center's fire alarm was triggered shortly after. Members of the public report hearing noise and then smelling a strong odor of smoke in the shopping center corridors during the evacuation. It was during the Robert Pattinson line of somebody get these beggars out of here, which, man, he made the word beggars sound rough. And firefighters rushed to the scene, and it turned out the smoke came from the floor below.
This Robert Pattinson is a real piece of shit in this movie. You know about that, Antinous?
I think I'm going to watch it again.
I'm dying to go see it again.
I want to see it again.
You're dying to go see it again?
I am. I'm dying
Yeah.
to.
How about you watch it?
Yeah, I'm good.
How about you watch it?
I'm good.
I'm good too.
How is it that you arrived at thinking about this? I don't think of you as leaving a theater altered. I don't think I don't.
I was in awe. I was in awe of the way the movie made me feel.
Yeah.
And it's just and like the movie's long, obviously. It's 3 hours long, but it doesn't feel 3 hours long. But it's long enough that when you get to the final scene where he's getting home, it's like you feel how long it's been because the movie is so long. And then you have the final scene, which equals to everything that you wanted it to be. And I was very moved by the whole thing. I was.
Yeah, I got to the edge of my seat.
Mike said he cried.
Yeah, well, anytime you have something with a dog,
I would
dude.
never cry.
Yeah. The dog scene, Jesus Christ. Kill me.
Roy got emotional recently. This is the rarest of things that we have around here. When Roy's emotions pour forth, what triggered you getting all weepy here recently, Roy?
Yeah, you know, on social media where they're doing this throwback stuff, you know, they show you a picture from like some odd years ago. Yeah. Well, this happened to me over the weekend. 8 years ago, Facebook, this is from 8 years ago, there was a picture of Claire in a little stroller, and we have a picture of it. She was all cheeks, no chin. She was about 6 or 7 months old.
That is a fat face.
Hey, man, it's my daughter you're talking about.
I'm the owner of a fat face. I'm a fan of fat faces. I've had one all my life.
Yeah, she was a part of the club, except that fat face got kind of thinner because this was her 2 weeks ago at 8.5 years old. She's now 4'7".
Yeah, grown up. And so how did that and so what happened? You saw something on Facebook and you got all weepy? I can't picture you too weepy.
Yeah, because you spend a lot of time, providing for your family, making sure they have a roof over their head, and you just don't stop to think about, hey, your child is growing up at this point. And that really got me to thinking, you know what? This is becoming a young woman right now, and I'm kind of emotional about this, and it's going to happen to Tony too, as he just became a new father. It's going to happen to you too, Tony.
It already has, Roy.
You're a weepy dad?
I've become more of a misty-eyed dad, for sure.
And Zaz is just looking at you right now and saying, I will never cry during the movie.
Cried during the Odyssey. What are we talking about?
No, he did not.
I cried.
Mike cried
somebody
during
cried
the
during the
Odyssey.
Odyssey.
Yeah, I cried. And it wasn't a little. It wasn't a little cry.
I don't cry about dogs, though.
Crying is cool.
Yeah, it is. But not about dogs. Though.
Yeah, like D-Money has like this whole theory that Cubans are weird with dogs.
It's not weird with dogs. It's just like...
Yeah, like Cubans, like that.
It's an
dogs
animal.
are
What are you gonna
outside normally. Cubans are weird with dogs.
Wait a minute, that's not Cubans.
Oh, like D-Money did a straw poll. Cubans are more likely to put their dogs outside.
I don't have a dog, so I wouldn't know.
Put it on the poll at Le Batard Show. Are Cubans more likely to put their dog outside? Also put on the poll, Can an Odyssey be only 3 hours long? What has happened to our viewing habits? Because this one snuck up on me, Zaz, okay? What I'm about to say is weird, and I don't know when it happened, and I don't exactly know how it happened, but it's caught me off guard. You tell me that a movie is 3 hours long, and my answer is no. Any movie, anytime. The answer now from me is I do not want a 3-hour movie. But if you break it into 3 parts and make each part an hour, I'm going to want more of that movie. If I like that movie, I'm going to want 8 parts of that movie. I'm going to want it to be like, I don't know how that happened to me, because at one point in my lifetime, if I'm watching Pulp Fiction, I don't want that movie to end. I want it to keep going for as long as it wants to go.
This is actually one of the good things about having a finely tuned algorithm, because now my entire IG algorithm has been hijacked by the Odyssey in a way that only
That's
knows,
a good algorithm.
I'm not as good as yours, but it's up there. The only time a movie did this to me is another one of my favorite filmmakers, Robert Eggers, with Nosferatu, where my entire algo was Nosferatu content. And it is such a supplemental experience. I discovered that there's an Odyssey starring Armand Assante.
I saw that too.
And Eric Roberts plays the Pattinson role.
It looked good.
I'm watching that. You better believe it.
I continue to get texts from people and notifications on the reporters around the news media who are telling us who's getting laid off at ESPN. Longtime SportsCenter anchor David Lloyd, Stefania Bell, the injury expert and fantasy analyst. Lloyd had been there nearly 30 years, Bell for nearly 20 years. We already told you that Carl Ravitch has been let go, and we told you as well that Ryan Clark was let go yesterday while they were taping. How are people going to feel about all of this? Because ESPN has long prided itself on the letters are what matters. The first conversations I had with anybody about us going to ESPN, all they pounded me with was, you got to care about the brand, you got to care about the brand. And all I kept saying was, I don't care about the brand. Like, it's not what you're going to get me to care about. And what's happening now is that ESPN is getting crushed for not just hemorrhaging money, paying for people, as all of these salaries have changed. Like the entire media market has changed, at least in part because ESPN has realized we don't have to pay people this way. We don't have to continue to give people $3 and $4 and $5 million or $2 million. All of you are disposable. All of you can be changed, and all that matters is the letters and the allegiance from the customer to the letters. But those customers are getting mad when some of the people they care about are being let go. And I ask you guys, how do you feel about this news? As you told me that it's not right what they did to Ryan Clark. It's not right what they did to Carl Ravitch. But I don't think there's a right way to fire people that customers care about.
No, all that stuff sucks, and it sucks for the people going through it, and it sucks to the viewers that have built up a relationship. A lot of the names that you've highlighted are people that you think about in a nostalgic way. They were part of your formidable years. But I don't think ESPN's spending less money on talent. I don't. I just think they're spending loads of money on the top end of talent. And in a way, it did kind of dilute the brand, because the brand was a star-making venture. It was more about the ensemble. It was about SportsCenter anchors. Now the brand is, let's farm this out to Pat, and Stephen A. Stephen A. right now is as big as the brand. He is the face of that network, and they've just decided our cable television daytime programming is going to be carried by these tentpole attractions, and that is going to be, we're going to prioritize salary.
No, but Mike, they are doing it differently, and they are spending less money, because the people that they're giving that money to are people who pay for themselves. Like the things that they're making make it so that they make all their money back on those people, and have had to give those people independence that they'd never given before. But the reason they're giving that independence to Rich Eisen, to Stephen A., to Pat McAfee, is because the money they bring in pays for those salaries. It's the same investment that DraftKings made with us. What they pay us, DraftKings makes back because it's just what we're worth. Like, we're just not, we've cut out the middleman. It's a deal between us and the money, and they just pay us what we're actually worth with what they can sell with their inventory. So these people that I'm talking about, you may care about their names. They're not needle movers who pay for themselves. None of them. You can replace them with cheaper models and do no damage to the things that you're televising by eliminating them. It causes a temporary outrage, but these are not people who pay for their own salaries. Like, they're just not.
I saw the new He-Man movie. Oh my god.
You've mentioned that.
Oh my god. I think it's the greatest cartoon to movie adaptation ever. I was so worried. I was a huge He-Man fan. Of course, I'm a kid of the 80s, all right? I was a huge He-Man fan. I had all the toys. And 40 years ago, 39 to be exact, 40 years ago, Masters of the Universe starring Dolph Lundgren came out in theaters. I had the flu. I was 6 years old and I had the flu. Didn't matter. I told my dad, we're going to see Masters of the Universe. I won't cough on you, I promise. And we went to go see Masters of the Universe because I love He-Man. And 40 years later, this movie's out. And I told my son I'm going to take him. He's 14 years old. He doesn't have a clue about He-Man. He knows nothing. I'm like, you're coming with me, okay? I took him, and my 20-year-old cousin is staying with us also this week. He didn't know shit about He-Man either. He's Canadian. I don't even know if they have TV there. So I take him and my son. We go see He-Man a couple days ago. And I was worried about this movie because you look at the trailer, I'm like,
Trailer.
I don't know. It looks corny. You know, I don't know if this movie's going to be any good. I'm worried. I'm worried about this movie. And I see the Rotten Tomatoes scores. And I had friends texting me a few days ago, have you seen He-Man yet? And I'm like, no, I'm going to see that. You're going to love it. And the Rotten Tomatoes scores are very high. The reviews are very, very good. And if I could tell you how much I loved this movie, it is so, so good. If you're a child of the 80s, like me, if you loved He-Man, who was my absolute favorite, you're going to love this movie. And dare I say...
What is this, an ad?
Dare I say, Jared Leto, who's a terrible actor, does terrible films. He's awful. Jared Leto.
Famously give awards to terrible actors.
He's terrible.
I'm with you, though, lately.
Jared Leto.
Cold streak.
Is phenomenal as Skeletor. Incredible. He nails it. He's great as Skeletor. Anyway, I love this movie so much. Everything you want, it has. And it got me thinking, all right, I got a top 5 for your asses today. You ready for this?
It's for my ass.
Top 5 for your asses today. I got a top 5. It is top 5 all-time 80s cartoon villains.
How are they all time if it's just
all time? Top 5 all-time 80s cartoon villains. You ready?
So ready, Zaz.
No, we're getting right after it.
We're workshopping back here a theory that you talk like that because you've hosted shows by yourself for so long that you have
stretch.
Like this is just another person.
I ask
that
a question
you create.
and then I answer it with this voice.
Good point.
Number 5, Shredder.
Now you know who did the voice of Shredder?
Who?
Uncle Phil.
Oh, really? That's cool. All right. Love Uncle Phil. Shredder, the big bad from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I mean, he's trying to kill... Not only trying to kill the turtles are kids. They're teenagers. They're teenage. He's trying to kill teenagers. Very bad. Number 5 is Shredder. Number 4,
I should credit the reporting on David Lloyd and Stefania Bell being expected to be laid off by ESPN today. That's Ryan Glass-Steagall who is reporting that. And in keeping with some of these media conversations that we like to have around here, Oliver Darcy is the founder and lead author of the newsletter Status. He's the co-host of Power Lines podcast. And the reason we're having him on is because I find super curious some of what's happening at CBS. Thank you for joining us, Oliver. Thank you for lending us your expertise. Can you explain to me in digestible portions why CBS seems to be going out of its way to get rid of and ruin some of its best shows?
Well, there's a big merger happening that is involving the parent company of CBS News. So that's Paramount. And to get approval for Paramount, this huge media corporation that owns obviously the iconic studio, the streamer, but also outlets like CBS News, they need federal government approval. And they need Donald Trump basically in their corner. And to get Donald Trump in your corner, you have to play to his ego. And how do you do that when you own CBS News? Well, you maybe adjust the programming to be more of his liking. He pays a lot of attention to what's on CBS News. And so when you wonder what's going on there, you have to think about this big $110 billion deal that Paramount, the parent company of CBS News, is going to hopefully complete. They were hoping to do it by this week, actually, or last week, and they've been stuck by the states. But that's why I think a lot of the decisions are being made. So when you look at what's happening at 60 Minutes, you look at what's happening at the CBS Evening News, some of the other programs on that channel's air, that is the backdrop for these decisions being made.
When you say stuck by the states, 11 states are suing to stop this merger. So true or false question, did CBS axe The Late Show with Stephen Colbert and gut 60 Minutes because Trump hates both those shows?
I obviously think it's more nuanced than that. At least Paramount and CBS would say so, but it's hard to ignore. I mean, I think I think if Stephen Colbert were, for instance, a conservative comedian, I think he'd still be on the air today. Now they are blaming budgets and saying that the Late Show's, economic standing was not very good anymore, and they needed to just get rid of the show and move on. And that's definitely true. Late Night's definitely in a tough spot from a budgetary standpoint, but it's the number one. It was the number one show on Late Night, Stephen Colbert, and so it's hard to ignore that. And Donald Trump had called for his firing, and so you look at the decisions being made. Basically, universally, they are being made in a manner that helps them with the Trump administration. So I personally don't buy the fact that CBS canceled The Late Show with Stephen Colbert just because of budget reasons. Maybe that was a factor in the whole thing, but there are other things they could have done. They could have slimmed down the budget. They could have reduced the amount of days they were on the air. They could have cut the band. They could have cut the studio audience. There's a lot of things they could have done to salvage that show if the budget was the only concern. But obviously Donald Trump is a big factor looming over this whole thing. So to answer your question, it's not cut and dried as they canceled it to appease Trump, but that certainly played a role. And with CBS 60 Minutes, Donald Trump has been ranting about 60 Minutes for a long, long time. He pays very close attention to that show. He sued the network, if you remember, for an absurd amount of money over an edit that 60 Minutes made on that show. So he hates 60 Minutes. He wants it destroyed. Now, again, CBS would say we're not trying to destroy 60 Minutes for Donald Trump, but you look at the decisions being made, and it certainly seems like they're trying to overhaul that show to be more friendly, perhaps, to that administration. So, it's not as easy to say they're destroying these shows because they want to appease Trump, but, that's certainly playing a big role.
Before I ask you about what 60 Minutes is going to look like when it begins its 59th season, it's the highest rated news program for 52 straight seasons. Can you give me and the audience some perspective on what 60 Minutes is, what it was, and what it's going to be?
I mean, it's the most successful show in all of television news. It's not only the most successful from a rating standpoint. This last season, they averaged 9 million viewers, I think, which was an increase over the previous season, which is incredible given that linear television is, declining, that 60 Minutes would actually increase its ratings. That's pretty much unheard of. But not only were they extremely successful in television ratings, extremely successful on social media, but they've been critically acclaimed. This show rakes in so many Emmys for CBS News. It just won Emmys in the this last year, actually right before they did some of these firings. And so from, in television news, it's considered the crown jewel of journalism. All the other networks, ABC and NBC, CNN, they'd all love to have a show like 60 Minutes. And it's been a powerhouse, not only just, recently, obviously, but over the last several decades. It's, done a lot of important investigative reporting. It's unearthed a lot of corruption, and people have grown up with the show. I think that's another thing. People have watched 60 Minutes, heard that clock ticking for many, many, many years. I think, my wife, for instance, has memories watching that show with her parents. That's when she first started watching it, and we still watch it every Sunday. And so I think it means a lot of things to a lot of people. It's, it's a part of their routine. It's been baked into Sunday evening for a long, long time. And to see these correspondents who they very much feel like they know, they're in their household every week, being fired without cause in many cases, and to see the show being radically overhauled when it is so successful, it doesn't sit well with a lot of people.
Barry Weiss had no broadcast news or managerial experience and has come in feeling like she needs to fix 60 Minutes. So tell me, is Scott Pelley right when he says, quote, she was brought in to kill 60 Minutes?
Those are really tough words by Scott Pelley. And also, it's funny you say she was brought in to fix 60 Minutes. The show wasn't broken. This was the most successful. This is like having a Lamborghini in your garage, just, fresh out of the dealership, and saying, you know what? I need to open the hood and just replace some parts for no reason. You're like, you have the fastest car in the neighborhood. Everyone around the neighborhood is looking at your car and saying, wow, that's a fast, beautiful car. And you have it in your garage, and for whatever reason, you just start tinkering with the engine and maybe giving it a new paint job. And you're like, what is going on there? Why would you do that? That makes no sense. I think that's sort of what's happening in 60 Minutes. It wasn't broken. It was a perfectly well-running show. It was the most successful show. In terms of what Barry Weiss was brought in to do, look, again, I don't want to be acting as her spokesperson, but I think they would disagree and say they want to improve the show and ensure that it has a long life after linear television is over. The problem for them is that this show has already been doing really well on digital. So when they say we want the show to be better on digital, which is why they would claim that they're overhauling it, you say, well, Paramount and CBS just put out a press release like a couple months ago touting how well the show is doing on YouTube, how well it's doing on TikTok and Instagram, saying that it's growing at a very fast rate on these platforms. So their explanation for overhauling it doesn't really make sense. I think that's why Scott Pelley and others are saying that Barry Weiss was brought in not to improve the show, because the show didn't really need improvement, but to destroy the show. And then this all goes back to Donald Trump, because Donald Trump wants this show destroyed. He doesn't like the institution. He doesn't like being held accountable every Sunday evening when he knows record audiences are watching. He wants the show gone. And, again, it's very difficult to ignore that context when looking at what's happening at CBS News.
Yes or no, 60 Minutes still exists a year from now?
Yes, of course. Whether it's the same 60 Minutes, though, that everyone knows, I think that's the open question.
More likely to be so in 3 years or so. Barry Weiss is still running CBS News, or 60 Minutes is gearing up for its 62nd season?
That's a tough one. I have a hard time imagining that Barry Weiss will be running CBS News in 3 years, but crazier things have happened. At 60 Minutes, I'm confident will be around for a very, very long time. I think that, again, the question is it going to be the critically acclaimed program that we have grown up watching, or is it going to be a shell of its former self like Newsweek or Time Magazine?
So Paramount touts how well 60 Minutes is performing both on television and in social media clips, but they cannot point to the same type of metrics when it comes to the evening news. All their choices on the evening news seem to be blowing up in their face. The ratings are abysmal,
plummeting,
and they seem to keep heading in that direction. Every month there's a new low. So do they address the changes that they made with CBS? Do they ever with CBS Evening News? Do they capitulate there?
Well, that's the question. It's like, Barry Weiss, why are you messing with 60 Minutes? It's the highest rated program on television news. And then you think about, like, if you imagine being a 60 Minutes producer or correspondent, and the person tinkering with your show that's not broken is the same person who has overhauled the evening news and led that show to historic low ratings. Like, these are the lowest ratings we've seen in the 21st century on the CBS Evening News. I mean, that show was already not doing super well. It's always been really in third place, at least in modern times, but it is now just dropping viewers like flies. And so it's like, why is this person now deciding that they want to overhaul the actually successful program on the network? Why not at least address the mess that you've made at CBS Evening News? And, you know, whether they're going to acknowledge mistakes, I don't really think so. I don't really think that's the Barry Weiss's style. She's left Tony DeCopo in place. They're backing him as the anchor. They're trying to kind of spin these numbers to look as positive as possible, but it's really bad for Tony. And by the way, it's also really bad for the CBS morning show. That show is seeing some of the lowest ratings ever posted, like ever, in the show's history. So all the shows that Barry Weiss has actually touched, you know, she's like the opposite of Midas, right? Everything she touches seems to crumble at her fingertips. And so, again, people are wondering inside CBS News, across the industry, why is David Ellison, the owner of Paramount, giving Barry Weiss so much power? She has no television news experience. She has no managerial experience. I think her digital experience is very questionable. At least she has it, though. But why is she overseeing a news network? You know, she used to brag to people, according to people I've talked to, that she didn't even own a television. And this is the person you put in charge of a news network that's on TV? It just doesn't add up.
So is the Ellison family just in line to be the next Murdochs and reshape network television in this conservative way, or are they just presently going the direction that the wind blows, and when Donald Trump is no longer in office, we might see them go back to the middle and ease up on this hard right turn?
I assume. I mean, look, they're going to have some big problems when Democrats take control of Washington. Like, there's no doubt about that. And they're already having problems now with the states. You know, the Democratic states, a dozen of them suing to block their deal. So they are going to, I think, change a little bit when the political winds start to change around them. That said, Larry Ellison, you know, the Oracle founder and the person really bankrolling all of this, you know, his son is in charge, but let's be honest, the money is the person who's actually in charge. He's a conservative. You know, according to the Washington Post, Larry Ellison joined a call of election deniers trying to figure out how to overturn the 2020 election. So this is someone who's a Trump ally, someone who seems to be quite MAGA, and he's the one in charge of this network. So, I think, yes, they will probably adapt as political winds change, but at the core, this company is an owner who is conservative, who until as of this year, I think, or maybe late last year, we asked Oracle, I asked them, I said, is Larry Ellison, does he still think the 2020 election was stolen? Can he clarify that for us? Is he an election denier? Pretty simple question, I'd say, especially if you have Washington Post stories out there saying you are trying to overturn the election with Trump, and they won't answer. So I think that gives you an indication of where Larry Ellison's personal politics lie.
We have less than a minute left, Oliver. What do you have for Oliver Roy?
If not for the FCC that's under the Trump administration right now, he brought up this lawsuit against CBS. Do CBS actually defend themselves in this situation if not for that? Because they had the potential merger here. So because of the merger, do they defend themselves?
Well, they are trying to defend themselves. They're definitely trying to fight off these Democratic states that have sued. And I think what will be interesting to see is there some sort of ultimately settlements between Paramount and these Democratic states that have sued to block their big merger of Warner Brother Discovery. Remember, one of the things alarming people about them owning Warner Brother Discovery is not only the significant antitrust issues with two major studios, Paramount and Warner Brothers, now potentially combining, which would definitely eliminate jobs in Hollywood. It's going to be a big deal there. But also, Warner Brother Discovery owns CNN. And so you would see the merging of CBS News and CNN, and it would be controlled by someone who's behaving very much like a Trump ally, kowtowing to the White House at every turn. And so that has alarmed a lot of people. Like, it's one thing for Larry Ellison and David Ellison to own and control CBS News. CNN is a different animal. It's a global news network, and they would have complete control over that network. And so that's alarming people. And I think that's one of the things that the state attorney generals, even though it's not an antitrust thing, they are looking at, and they're certainly paying attention to. And I talked to California Attorney General Rob Bonta last week, and he told me, he said, if David Ellison were to divest CNN from this deal, it wouldn't solve all their issues. They wouldn't get an approval right away from just that action, but it would certainly have a lot of value to a potential settlement. So I think that's the thing to keep an eye on is, does Paramount walk away from CNN as they try to push through this $110 billion merger?
His newsletter, it's well reported. It's called Status. If you want to subscribe, his podcast, Power Lines, wherever you get your podcast. Thank you, Oliver. Appreciate the time.
Thank you. It's been a blast.
Before he came on, we were talking about the layoffs at ESPN, and you mentioned Stephen A. Smith, and I saw something here recently. I don't know if you guys pay any attention to the Mark Twain Award that's given out every year in comedy, but Bill Maher is getting it this year, and he and Trump had some conflict, and for a while it looked like he wasn't going to get it, and now he is getting it. But it is a star-studded affair that ends up getting televised by Netflix, at least in part, because previously when Jon Stewart wins it, a bunch of comedians show up to support their friend, the comedian, and they all do a show that's a comedy show in honoring whoever the comedian is. The problem is that Bill Maher has very few friends in comedy, so Stephen A. Smith is among the people who are going to be presenting Bill Maher, because Stephen A. Smith, in his political turn, has ended up on that show a few times, and they've, I guess, become recent friends. But Bill Maher is one of these people that Norm Macdonald used to look down his nose at, because he's like, do you want to be a comedian or you want to be a smart guy? Which one would you like to be? And because Bill Maher fancies himself smart guy, he has no comedian, or he has very few comedian friends, I should say, or very few comedian friends who are going to show up to this lifetime achievement to make this go up. Look for me on the list of people, because Jay Leno is going to be there. He's famously neutral on all fronts, but Bill Maher is having legitimately difficult times getting the comedians to be there to make that the kind of show it is every year that people want to watch.
You have, in reverse order of what they've put on Netflix here, Stephen A. Smith, John Mellencamp, Jay Leno, Ariana Huffington, Woody Harrelson, Matt Friend, Whitney Cummings, and of course, the ever-lauded Louis C.K.
Cougar.
What's he gonna say?
That's the one that got you, John.
Probably a little ditty about Jack and Diane.
John Cougar Mellencamp is the one.
No, Louis C.K. is the one with the little ditty.
Wait a minute, a little ditty about Jackass and Diane.
Yeah, the previous one was the Conan O'Brien Mark Twain Award, right? That one was dystopian. That was like, all right, they're letting us have this party. It's probably the last one for a while.
Conan O'Brien, though, is universally sort of beloved throughout the industry because of just his generosity, his kindness, his demeanor. And so look up comparatively the guest list. Tell me the comedians who were there for Conan O'Brien, because I'm guessing the people that Conan O'Brien had to say no to are better than the people that Bill Maher said yes to on who it is that would be representing him, because the Conan O'Brien one had some real comedy legends involved.
You have David Letterman, Adam Sandler, Stephen Colbert, Sarah Silverman, Bill Burr, Nikki Glazer, Will Ferrell, and John Mulaney, all there for Conan O'Brien.
So is this politics on Bill Maher though? Like,
yep.
It's not just that. I mean, some people are looking past that. I think it's because of the involvement in the arts of this administration. Appearing there might be a cosign and put people in a tough spot for their brands.
So we were talking, Zaz, about the brand of ESPN. What does the brand of 60 Minutes mean to you, and do you care what is happening to 60 Minutes in any way? As someone who spent the entire...
What are you doing to the boy? What's the thought on the Odyssey, Dan?
Him? He was thinking throughout the Odyssey. Maybe he's a changed person. He can't stop thinking about the Odyssey. Maybe he's got. Why do you guys laugh?
What does the brand of 60 Minutes mean to you other than is that the ticking clock that shows up during Nance and Romo?
Do you think I like nothing outside sports? Only
Very
sports.
few. Yeah.
Sports are
Very
the
few.
only
You
thing that
like
goes on in my
movies?
head.
You like Pearl Jam?
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
The Odyssey.
I like other things. I'm not
Boobs.
dumb.
So I asked
Wrestling,
Zaz
your
a
shows?
question, and you guys laughed at Zaz when I asked him. That's unfair what you guys just did to
I
Zaz.
got thoughts.
Your stories. He doesn't have anything on 60 Minutes.
What you did to him was unfair.
How do you know? Maybe
That's what you did.
I'll give you 60 minutes.
Maybe I listen. Maybe I watch every Sunday night. Maybe
You
it's
don't.
part of my routine.
You
Getting
don't.
ready for the work week.
You don't.
I got to sit on the couch in the Zaslow Mansion family room. That couch is very uncomfortable. And we watch 60 Minutes.
I saw
Maybe
the look
that's
on
part
your
of the
face
routine.
when Dan asked you that question. You couldn't hide
You're
it.
lucky we
You
said
got
something.
nothing.
You're lucky
You
we said
got
something.
nothing. You got less than
We
what you
should've
had in
said
that
nothing.
interview, which
We
is
should've said
nothing.
nothing.
You know what? I had so many thoughts. I had the best thoughts on 60 Minutes.
You know what, Mike? We'll lay out. Go ahead, Zaz.
Oh,
Go
no,
ahead.
no,
Give
no.
me your thoughts.
I'm not giving you any of them now.
Oh, I
It's
don't
been-
deserve them
He's
now?
not
It's
going
been
to take
built
a
up
quiz.
too much.
He's not gonna.
It's been built up too much.
Name 2 people on the show.
Maybe on Zaslow Show 2.0, I'll give you some 60-minute thoughts. Maybe not. I don't know. We'll see. I can't predict the future. But I was going to wind up giving you.
Do you know the theme song?
Yeah, it's the clock.
Do it. No, he knows.
Damn, man. Yeah.
Well, that's because he's watching Broncos
Nah, he
Raiders
nailed it.
425.
That
I
changed
know
my
what
mind.
he's
Yeah,
doing.
you changed
He's
my
watching
mind.
Broncos
Yeah.
Raiders.
I'm not giving you anything on. I had so much material on 60 Minutes right now. I was going to give you, and now you get nothing. You go home and you will think about, wow, I wonder what Zaslow thinks about 60 Minutes, and you're not going to get it now.
So you're withholding as an act
Yeah.
of revenge and defiance.
It's not
You're-
revenge. It's more just like it's been built up too much, so I'm not saying it.
The reason that I asked the question is because sometimes around here, around the circus tent, I force feed you, as I'm going to in a little bit here, some nutrients from the real world that aren't in the playground that I believe can be viewed as a tune-out by the audience. I don't much care on certain subject matter, and in the case of Oliver Darcy, is that a tune-out for you, Zaz? Did you start checking your phone? Were you uninterested in the subject matter that was on our and your show? I want an honest answer here. Tony and Mike are looking at you as
They
if
can look all they want. I don't know. I don't know why you think that just because I didn't ask any questions there, that means I'm not into 60 Minutes. Maybe it's my favorite show. Maybe I was so enraptured with all the information there that it's like, I don't want to interrupt. I just want to listen about my favorite show,
okay,
60
you've
Minutes.
said that already, but I'm asking you if Oliver
Yeah.
Darcy was a tune-out. Was Oliver Darcy to you a tune-out?
I already told you I've embargoed my thoughts.
So all thoughts, you're embargoing all your thoughts. So I can't ask you any follow-up questions. All your thoughts on 60 Minutes are now embargoed. If anybody wants them, they should get them on Zaslow 2.0.
Zaslow Show 2.0.
With.
Why do he look like he was in Transylvania?
The sun didn't move in 45 minutes that he was on with us. It just stayed the same. Dark
Cinematic
He was
back
like
there.
Widow's Bay.
I feel like Renfield's gonna grab something off his desk.
You think he shot that in IMAX?
What do you think is going to happen here with Jeff Berardelli when I start talking about climate change and El Nino?
Manager for the Tampa Bay Rays, isn't he?
You think? Are you confusing him with Rico Baldelli?
Rocco?
Rocco.
I'm sorry, my bad.
I thought we were getting an Italian baseball player today.
Yeah, what happened? Who's this guy?
That's why, man. Oh, no. Zaz is going to have plenty there, though.
Let me see.
What is the fine on Rico Baldelli? What is the
specialist.
fine?
Just $5. You messed
Instead
up the
of-
first name.
Oh, but wait a minute. $5 is the maximum fine. On
He's with the
getting
Rays
that name
now?
right.
He was with the Twins first.
I'm trying to figure out who he was confusing. No, I'm trying to figure out who he was confusing Jeff Berardelli with, because Jeff Berardelli, for those of you who do not know who that is, he is just about the only person that I have heard in weather talking about what is coming here with El Nino, because I think the news media at large is sleeping on some of the major stories affecting our world. And I would think that if you needed to prepare for catastrophic events, I would think that you would want the media giving you some information so that you could prepare for that, so that you could feel slightly less helpless about what's coming this way, because it is being ignored in a way that I find alarming, because the people who have real expertise in this area are saying that what's headed this way this winter is going to be life-altering for a great many people, and it's being undercovered because of all of the things that are happening in media that make people comfortable climate denying, which they're not going to be that comfortable with when what happens in Venezuela comes to the United States and all of a sudden it's your city that's being affected. So the reason I'm doing this is, honestly, it is not to antagonize you. It is not to horrify you. It is simply to inform you of something that I believe is being wildly underreported by a news media whose responsibility it is to help you with some of these things, but is being gutted in a way that makes it hard to help with some of these things on just information.
Die. We're all gonna die. No one gets out alive. We're all gonna die. Our tap water is on fire, and we're all wondering why. Let's turn on the news and find out how we're gonna die.
Rocco Baldelli now part of the front office for the Los Angeles Dodgers. That's where I thought he was going to be on the show with us today.
So more warming will lead to rising sea tides, which put more pressure on tectonic plates, which mean for more and more frequent earthquakes and more powerful earthquakes worldwide. Because I was asking the same question. I'm like, are earthquakes tied to climate change? Apparently so.
So 20 minutes from now, if you think that's a tune-out, I am warning you that this person will be here, and he is, I believe right now, America's foremost expert on these things. And it's not to be alarmist, I promise you. It is simply so that you could get some information. In, for example, Florida, we run the risk, given what's happening around here and how difficult it is to get things to Florida. If you have major outlets sort of flooded, there's going to be food issues and water issues that are going to complicate your life. And so the only reason that I am doing this is because I don't really understand, and I really don't, how it is that what would usually be one of the stories of our lifetime is being criminally underreported in a way that's going to leave people underprepared for something that they should at least see coming or be warned about. I promise you, I'm not doing this gratuitously because I don't think it gets clicks. I think it does the opposite. I think people run away from this. They're going to skip right through this because many people don't want to hear about this because of how helpless it makes them feel.
And a crazy fun fact about Jeff Berardelli is that he actually met his wife at Camp Fiesta.
Whoa!
Yeah, his wife is a former camper from Camp Fiesta turned counselor, and they met when Jeff was working at a local station down here and came out to do a news story. My dad introduced them.
You should lean in. All right, I'm being alarmist. I don't know how you can be not an alarmist and then play a song saying that we're all going to die.
Yeah. I didn't play that. That was a Roy editorial decision.
But you like the song.
Who wrote the lyrics?
You like the song.
That is not, I think he wrote 3 of them.
I'm alarmed by everything that you said, so just lean in. Do the Jay Billis. All right, take offense.
I don't think that this is something that I get rewarded for in any way. Usually when you say of the news, it bleeds, it leads, it's because the news you think is doing something simply to get your eyes on it. I'm doing the opposite of that. Like, I believe that these things are largely a tune-out, and yet I insist on doing them even though what are the rewards? The rewards are you guys think I'm rooting to be right on climate change. You've said when you show video on a Friday
You're rooting to not be wrong.
No, I'm not. I wish to be. This is the most I've ever wished to be wrong. I've never wished to be wrong. I hope all the climate change deniers are right. And that when they say, no, we're not doing any damage to the earth by taking all its oil.
That'll be really embarrassing for you.
Yeah, and then I will be wrong in firing.
You'll basically be Chris Cody.
Yeah, I'll be wrong for firing Chris Cody as the leader of a media company who gets it wrong. But look, me getting this wrong, it's almost the opposite, I think, in some ways of Chris Cody, because you guys argued on behalf of Chris Cody gets all the attention here and there are no consequences to being wrong. Me being wrong saves everybody's life. Me being right here.
Hold on. You being wrong saves everybody's life? Okay.
So, like, there are a lot of people that have kind of tapped out on this, not because it's not something that they don't care about. I'm worried about this, too. Consider me alarmed. I'm going to vote that way, and we'll see if it works out. But I think the resignation that I have at this time is, well, whatever we got in place is only making this worse. So, yeah, you're telling me that things are going to be bad. I got to prepare for them. I kind of know that. I feel hopeless.
Okay, so let me just put some context on this for you, just so that you understand where portions of my life have been lived for, I'm going to say, the last 5 years. You've heard me say here that we have talked about what our show's friendship is with Adam McKay. He has put me with a great many climate scientists so that I can be more informed about this. I would say that Adam McKay has largely gone a little nuts over the last 5 years because he made a movie thinking that his art and ego as somebody who was responsible for a decade of comedy in the movies, he made a movie during the pandemic trying to warn everybody with all of America's major stars in it, hey, the world's going to end here. It's a pretty big news story. We should be paying attention to the fact that climate scientists are like moving to the Northeast and learning how to hunt and fish because the numbers that El Nino brings suggest the kind of calamity that we've never seen on Earth before. When that person makes a movie where he's dedicating his life in the arts to making something to get America's attention and it doesn't work, he feels pretty alone with the knowledge that he understands the news media is not covering this correctly. It's kind of the biggest story of our lifetime, and we're not covering it.
Zaz, are your thoughts embargoed here?
I probably like John Wertheim the best, to be honest with you. Embargo back on.
What are you looking at on
Yo,
your
don't worry about what
computer?
I'm looking at.
What
Don't worry about that.
While we were talking,
Don't worry about
what
that.
were you looking at there?
Was I looking at the reporters on 60 Minutes? Maybe.
Who's that guy with a mustache?
That's Bill Whitaker, dog.
You were trying to figure out how you were going to lead Zaslow Show 2.0 today, because you got to do that now. You got to give us an essay, a written and read essay on how much you care about 60 Minutes as the lead.
I do. I just told you who my
Zaslow
favorite is,
Show
L. John Wertheim. Embargo back on.
So at 11:15, we're going to be talking about this thing that nobody wants to talk about, and you can ignore it.
Unless LeBron has the courage to make his decision, and then we'll blow this out. So, honestly, you can't blame us anymore. This one's on Braun. This entire day of programming, on Braun.
If we were to go back to what it is that America put on display at the end during the World Cup, I ask you this question sincerely. Are we done with the buffers?
No, God, no. Are you insane? Bruce and Michael Buffer, still titans of the industry, still somebody who you can go. We were out there with Bruce Buffer in Vegas. Dan, you should see the way that he moves. Oh, my God. Walking through the crowd, no security, no nothing. He just does his thing. He is on command.
He saunters.
He saunters. He really does. He's kind of like, not McGregor as much as back, but like a little bit more forward. But he's walking around, and you're like, oh, my God, that's Bruce Buffer. Comes in, gives a hand, high shake, a little kiss. Yeah. Does his thing, incredible. No, I'm not done with him. Maybe you might be done with him, and you're friends, but I don't know. Yeah. Not us.
No, I'm a Bruce Buffer guy. I still get up for the Let's Get Ready to Rumble, though Michael Buffer is aged.
He has.
What a crazy story.
That's a great story.
What a crazy
Do people
story.
know that story?
No, what a crazy.
I don't think it's believable.
What
there
do you
are
know?
no.
What does this guy know?
Well, wait a second. You of all people to not be skeptical with this story. It's pretty unbelievable. They're in the same line of work.
Yeah.
You kidding me?
It's not believable.
He didn't know.
They're both like the voice.
They didn't know. It's like, hey, wait a second. I know that.
I mean, I believe it. I've seen specials on it. Didn't quite cry.
I met the man.
Came close.
Met the man. I hugged him.
Came close. It's a beautiful story.
Put it on the poll at Le Batard Show. Does Bruce Buffer saunter at Le Batard Show? Because he does. He does walk a little bit like Conor McGregor. I think in some ways he has passed his brother, even though his brother has copyrighted "Let's Get Ready to Rumble." And every time
you just
Very
cost us
litigious.
$3,000.
Every time
Be careful.
someone says that, it's his. It's Michael. I'm crediting him. I'm telling you that
Doesn't
it's his.
matter.
It's not
That's
mine.
not how
it's
it works.
his.
I don't know if that's
You
how it
can't
works,
sing "Hey
Dan.
Jude" and credit the Beatles and expect to not be sued.
Yeah, they're litigious.
I didn't say it his way. I just said so. So
You can't say the words.
So you're saying you guys are saying
get-
I don't think you guys understand how copywriting works. You guys are telling me that because he copyrighted, he's the only one allowed to say it in public. That's what you're saying.
It's like the
what it means.
Pete. It's like you can't say that.
You could say it, but you have to give him money now.
Yeah.
Has Bruce Buffer passed Michael? Because he's been
Nah, not for me.
Really?
No,
but
but I'm older. I'm older. Like there was nothing, man. Like it's legit. When Michael Buffer came out and said those words, you knew that you were either watching a big time heavyweight boxing match or a Halloween Havoc.
I don't even know what that is.
he sold the rights to that phrase, the Halloween Havoc.
That was a WCW deal.
That's Bill Whitaker, dog.
Are we starting on number 60 or are we starting on number 50? Where are we starting?
We're starting on number 60. Right now, for the time being, it's a top 60 countdown.
And remember, we've gotten to the point now when he rattles through these, he almost passes out. You can take a breath. Like, we don't want you to die.
Right.
Take a breath if you need to.
Although, if he were to die,
numbies would go up.
That's the way to go up.
Well, it's not just
be viral.
Wait a minute.
I'm dying on my podcast, not this one.
Yeah, he's said that many times.
Okay.
He's also made me promise that the week after he passes, we release an episode.
Gotta eat a peck of dirt before you die.
Peck of dirt, that's right. Nana Doogie.
I know that's right. I'm you.
You keep agreeing with your inner monologue.
Yeah, ain't no log in it.
Your
Save that.
Your inner monologue is speaking on behalf of you. You don't have to agree with it. It's
Trailers
for sale, rent. Hey, rooms to let 50 cents. Jinx.
Hot in here.
Put a Lobo's mint under your pillow and dream big. Friendly reminder that Clark Spence is a horse murderer. He looks the part. If we were to set up a lineup of people that would shoot horses for fun, Clark Spencer, top of the heap.
Number 60, Greg.
Len Pasquarelli up there, too.
Wow.
Ray Rado, got my eye on you.
I do want to step back for a second here because Greg Cody said that he doesn't want to die on this podcast. He wants to die on his podcast.
You don't get to choose.
And that's correct.
I do.
And no, you don't. You don't get to choose there. And your son has said that it would be good for numbers. That's not what I was going to say. Yeah, that is what you said. Put it on the poll at Le Batard Show. Douche or no douche? Guy who calls numbers numbies. What I was saying, though, is that as you go through this list on on our show. It's not for ratings. I believe that your father, if I gave him his choice on preferred ways to go instead of asphyxiation or being punched in the face till his death, high on the list would be while reading his catchphrases to an international audience. Why are you shadowboxing?
Seems like the thing to do.
Got to stay on your toes.
Got to be on your toes in this business.
You're sitting. Hold on.
17 is great. Hey, that's what I'm talking about.
I don't appreciate it.
It makes Zaz furious every time, but it makes it makes Tony so happy. Tony is rarely as radiant as he is when right in Zaz's face, Cody, with no knowledge of one of Zaz's signature phrases, changes it, co-ops it, makes it his own, and dare I say, Tony thinks it's better.
It's absolutely better.
It's not better.
It's absolutely better.
You can't just take the awesome things I say and throw hay in front of it and say it's better.
You say them in your voice. He sings them.
Hey, that's what I'm talking about.
Zaz, let me tell you something. A great poet named Sean Carter once said, "You made it a hot line. He made it a hot song."
Wow. There you go.
Looking at what else he said. I agree with that.
Hey, that's what I'm talking about. Yep, that's mine now.
Looks right at me when he says it. It's insulting.
Yep.
He stares you down in a way. And Tony, when I'm watching Tony as it happens, it's not just that Cody is singing in your face.
Yeah, because Tony can't fight his own battles, so he feels like Greg
Fight my own
is
battles? What are you
putting
talking
me
about?
down.
I put you
so,
down every single time we have a
he's like,
battle.
yeah, get him, Greg.
You haven't beaten me in a battle once.
You got cucked on a catchphrase.
Greg Cody is serenading Zaz with a stolen song. That's insulting enough. But more insulting is the fact that the group thinks that he's bettered one of Zaz's signature catchphrases. Zaz has fewer. He doesn't go with 70 catchphrases. Zaz has maybe 6 or 7, and that's one of them, and it's high on the list, and Greg has stolen it, and he sings it, and you guys like it better.
The way I see it is Greg Cody is posting up Zaz on the low block. He's posting him down, right? He's got him pinned, and I'm here dribbling the ball, and I'm like, I got to give the ball to Greg here. So I feed him down low. Greg hits him with the drop step over like a Wemby elbow and then slams it on.
The way I see it, Tony, is you're sitting on the end of the bench with your warm-ups on because you never get in the game, and you're rooting for someone else on your team to do the dirty work.
I don't want to give away a secret, but I've also been told that Zaz's wife much prefers, hey, that's what I'm talking about. When I say it like that, what I mean is if I'm Scott McCullough, my emphasis
What
is...
about Clayton?
What about Clayton?
Or Clayton, I'm sorry.
Who is Scott McCullough?
You know, I have a friend named Scott
That's my
McCullough. I'm
mom's
sorry.
coworker's husband.
Die. We're all gonna die. No one gets out alive. We're all gonna die. There's a parasite in my salad. Diarrhea up to my eyes. Let's turn on the news and find out how we're gonna die.
The Red Sox beat the Orioles last night. They came back to beat the Orioles. The Yankees, I don't know if you have seen what's happening with Aaron Judge, but they say as part of his rehab, he can't use any of his upper body. Just as part of how he's rehabbing, there's nothing that he can do with his upper body as the Yankees are trying to hold off the Red Sox that have now, I think they're 21-2 in the last 3 weeks. They won 13 or 14 in a row and swamped the Rays in a 4-game series who have been ahead of them all season. I don't even know what an injury has to be for I thought he was going to be back already, and I don't know how it is he gets back when part of his rehab over the second half of the season is he can't use the upper half of his body. What's he going to do, become a soccer player?
He's older.
The whole thing is so weird because everyone anticipated that he would be back sooner, and now it just seems like they're drifting without him, and the American League is terrible. Like, the Rays are good, but even they've played okay over the last month or so. The American League is not good. This was a year that the Yankees theoretically could coast to the World Series. And without Aaron Judge, they're average at best as a team.
Yeah, I see that the Pirates are hitting home runs all over the place, but
Damashek's talking so much shit.
Yeah, but the Yankees though are wounded and hurting, and their best player, who's super important,
is older than Jonas Valanciunas. I mean, he's an older guy. This is how it happens at this age.
Been in the league for 25 years.
He's older than Jonas Valanciunas.
Some people are sending me because obviously the media people in my life are noticing what is happening to the industry when Ryan Clark is being fired during a show yesterday. NFL Live won a couple of sports Emmys while Ryan Clark was there. He does the show with Orlovsky, Marcus Spears, and Mina and Laura Rutledge. And some people are going through the voyeuristic, macabre joy of watching how Mina appeared to be rattled in the segment after what happened. They're going through the footage and noticing that Mina looked rattled because it's not unlike if we're out somewhere, our group, and all of a sudden I see Tony taken off by a shark. Like we're just sitting there and we're all together and and I'm expected to do the show where we're just hanging out, but a shark emerged from behind you like Samuel Jackson in Deep Blue Sea. Big surprise, a shark takes you out. It is, I haven't seen the footage of that, but it is a perilous time. It is a perilous time in media because the great supplier of jobs is under duress. The great supplier of jobs is laying people off, and the entire climate is changing around. Not the kind of climate we're going to be talking about in 5 minutes with the foremost El Nino expert in the country.
A couple of NFL Network names have also been released. Charles Davis and Tom Pelissero.
As the merger happens between NFL Network and ESPN and it becomes all things football all the time, obviously there are going to be some redundancy of skill sets there when all of these things come into play. I guess we'll be talking a little more about this over the next couple of days. I wanted to ask you guys, though, 76ers president Mike Gansey had to go to video and apologize to Jesus Luzardo, the pitcher for the All-Star pitcher for the Philadelphia Phillies, because he mentioned that he had a no-hitter and then the no-hitter ended soon thereafter.
Come on. What are we doing? Really? We're doing this bullshit with mentioning the no-hitter? And then the no-hitter gets broken up and, it's his fault?
Well, let's see. Do we have the audio of him ruining the no-hitter, allegedly?
Sixers' new president of basketball operations, Mike Gansey, and head coach Nick Nurse down here as we go to the top half of the fifth inning. Fellas, thanks for joining us. Mike, welcome to Philadelphia.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. How's everything going your first couple of days?
Good.
Yeah?
Glad we're out to a 8-0 start right here.
Yeah, we are.
First game, man.
No hitter still intact.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, Luzardo's been Mike.
He almost said it.
All right, Nick, what's the equivalent of that when it comes to basketball?
I don't know. I think it's, you say, don't shoot, and it goes in,
Oh, that's so great.
Top of the fifth. They weren't even halfway through the game. Wasn't even halfway through the game. And by the way, the worst look here for Gansey is saying it's 8-0. Come on. You can't say it's 8-0. What kind of talk is that in sports? 8-0?
8-0?
8-0? Come on.
Top of the fifth, I think, is okay. I think most people listening to this would say it's okay to mention that someone has a no-hitter in the top of the fifth. I don't think that once you get into the seventh, eighth, and ninth, baseball players are very superstitious about this. Baseball players would tell you that you do not do that. In fact, I'm going to find very few who wouldn't say that, and obviously I think it's silly, the idea that the 76ers president would have any impact on whether or not a ball is hit there. Are you a superstitious person?
No, it's stupid.
Do you understand superstition in sports? Because Jeremy will tell you around the Marlins and around baseball players, like all of them think that you don't mention this stuff. I saw Paul Skeens was quoted as saying you absolutely do not mention.
So you think when a pitcher has a no-hitter, okay, and a pitcher ends up completing that no-hitter, you're telling me No one in the ballpark once uttered the word, he's got a no-hitter.
It's butterfly effect.
No one in the ballpark and no one watching the game either uttered for a moment said pitcher currently has a no-hitter.
Maybe they
That's
did.
never happened.
But you don't want to be the one that throws it off.
Okay. But
You can't mention it on a public
that's not what I'm
platform.
saying.
That's a totally different thing.
That's what I'm saying.
You're sitting with your boy and you're having a conversation. And you're like, hey, I noticed something on the scoreboard. That's a different thing than the announcer or someone in the booth saying, hey, there is currently a no-hitter going. And there are some announcers.
The announcer's job is to tell the listener or viewer what is happening in the game.
And maybe you tell them, check out the scoreboard. Check out the box score.
Do you wear lucky shirts or sit on your uncomfortable couch in a certain place when your team is you don't do any of that stuff? Because I would think that you would be somebody who wears lucky shirts and does that stuff.
No, when I was younger, never lucky shirts, but like sitting in certain places, I used to partake in that bullshit when I was younger, but then I stopped being stupid.
No, I'm still this way. I've told this story before, but when the Heat were coming back from down 16 against the Bucks in 2023, I was cutting clips for social media for the network at the time, and I had brought my computer because I had to use the bathroom. I had brought my computer in there with me because I couldn't miss any of the action, and the Heat started coming back, and so I just stayed in the bathroom for the entire fourth quarter until they came back and won because I was doing my part. It's the butterfly effect. This is no different. We were talking about the things that the Heat had to overcome after LeBron left. Maybe if LeBron stays, Chris Bosh never gets blood clots.
You came back from vacation early to help the Panthers win a championship.
This is a great point.
Jeff Baradelli is with us, and he is from Tampa Bay. He's the chief meteorologist and climate specialist, and he is one of the few people I hear anywhere in the media talking about El Nino, Super El Nino, and really unprecedented times. So thank you for joining us, Jeff. Before we get started here,
Glad to be here.
Before you explain, I'm glad you're still here. I don't know for how much longer because it seems like all of us are going to perish soon. Explain to me.
Not an alarmist.
Why?
We only have 3 minutes left, so we got to do this fast.
Why are more people not talking about what seems to be possible extinction level events that are approaching because climate scientists are telling us we've never seen what is headed this way?
I think a lot of it's ideological. I mean, it's a lot bigger than that, but people have chosen a team. I'm either on this team, no climate change, or this team, crazy climate change. Also, I think people have a hard time connecting with stuff that seems like it's somewhat in the distant future. It's happening right now. It's escalating. But in terms of being an extinction level event, it's a long time out, and I'm not sure we'll ever get there. I hope, if we can get a hold of this. But we have to get a hold of it before it's too late because we're going to start passing tipping points in the next couple of decades. And essentially, they're points of no return. And then after that, things really get worse fast.
Well, what is El Nino? Explain it to people, not in the weeds in terms of the water warming, but what's coming this way? What's coming this way in the near future, not in the distant future?
Just so we know, El Nino is a natural phenomenon, but it very well could be supercharged by climate change. But El Nino happens every few years. This is going to be the strongest El Nino ever. What it means are a couple of things. First of all, for the summertime, we're going to see less hurricanes and less major hurricanes. It should be one of the quietest hurricane seasons we've seen in a while. But the problem is switch forward to the wintertime, late fall and winter, and all of a sudden we get an invigorated subtropical jet stream because of all the heat in the Pacific, gets into the atmosphere, supercharges the subtropical jet, and causes a lot of severe weather and a lot of rain as we get to the late part of fall and into the wintertime. And the worst tornado outbreak in Florida history, I was on air during 1998 in Central Florida during it, live on the air. It was the worst tornado outbreak we've ever had, and that was during a super El Nino.
What's happening this winter?
It's going to be very stormy, and there's going to be a lot of severe weather, and it's going to be mostly in the southeast and across Florida. Maybe not necessarily Miami, more so as you head towards Tampa, Orlando, and north of that into places like Atlanta and Charleston, South Carolina, and New Orleans. But along the Gulf Coast, very severe weather.
Are you worried about food prices and food shortages?
In the long term, I am. When people ask me what concerns me most when it comes to climate change, it's not the storm, it's not the fire, it's not the heat waves. It's all those things compounding on top of each other simultaneously all over the world, rising sea levels, and that causes a lot of political destabilization, a lot of supply chain issues, where we have, less resources. We're all fighting over those resources. We're all fighting over land. We're fighting over immigration. And that's what I'm most concerned about, is everyone is at each other's throats in the future. So again, people don't think about it that way, but that's the main issue, I think, when it comes to climate change.
How about Florida? What do you see being the practical difficulties headed toward Florida, specifically in the next year? Because I do think people get real calm about the idea that this is 10 years away, 20 years away, 30 years away, and 50 years away. What are we talking about in 2027?
Yeah, I mean, that's the real problem with climate change, right? The heat waves will be worse. One of the problems we have is what's happening in the Florida Keys right now, where basically all the coral are gone. In the 1970s, we had 40% coral cover. Now the coral cover is literally 1% because of what happened in 2023. So we're losing our ecosystems. Now, are we going to see anything that's going to shock us in 2027? Maybe, maybe not. I mean, I think during the winter, El Nino will cause severe weather. But this is a longer term thing. And in terms of Florida, we cannot run from the water, right? Well, we can run from the water, but we can't stay still. So eventually, over the course of many decades, our shoreline is going to be eaten away to the point where we can't live where we live right now. So again, but people have a hard time connecting with longer term things. And, to some degree, climate change is that.
When you say 90% of models say this will be a historic event, what does that mean?
Yeah, this is going to be the strongest El Nino ever. I have very little doubt in that. Almost all the models say it will. So basically, it means that the water temperatures in the central and eastern Pacific tropical areas are going to be warmer than they've ever been. And not just by a little bit, by a whole lot. We see El Ninos every few years, right? This is going to be the strongest ever. So we're going to see unprecedented things happen around the world. We're already seeing that in Europe, and it probably has at least some linkage to climate change. We're going to see a very severe hurricane season in the Pacific. But for us, actually, during the Atlantic hurricane season, it means it'll be quieter. So there's lots of different impacts. I think the biggest impact for Florida and the Southeast U.S. is going to be what happens late fall and winter. We're likely to see a lot of severe weather.
What does that mean, the intensity of it? When you say severe weather, what does that mean?
Tornadoes. A lot more tornadoes than we would typically see.
And what
it's
is
going to be, I think, yeah.
And what does that mean? Like, where? Like, I understand that you can't pick exactly where, that this is difficult, but for people who haven't experienced tornadoes, in my lifetime, Florida tornadoes, that's not a thing. I'm not sitting around fearing tornadoes in Florida.
No, not Kansas. So this would be anywhere from Texas through the Gulf Coast, New Orleans, Pensacola, down to Orlando and Tampa, and maybe even Miami too, and the southeast around North Carolina and South Carolina. So those areas that don't get usually as many tornadoes as they do in, let's say, Oklahoma or the Mississippi Valley, everything shifts south and east. And so all of a sudden we end up with much stronger tornadoes and more frequent tornadoes than we otherwise would see. It's not a definite, but it's most likely going to happen just simply because this is an unprecedented El Nino that we're going into this winter.
When I present to you the New York Times headline, "Is climate change supercharging El Nino? A debate rages." Do you believe that a debate is what should be raging, or do you believe you have facts here?
No, this is a debatable topic only because El Nino is a natural thing. Climate change is an unnatural thing caused by man. But this is going to be the strongest El Nino by far. And so it is likely that all that heat that's been stored up for years and years in the Western Pacific, some of that is due to the excess heat trapped by greenhouse gases by humans. So I do think likely we will find pretty soon that El Nino is going to be supercharged by climate change, but we need to do more research to be sure. So yes, I think it's something we should talk about and research for sure.
But are you sure? Where do you stand on the connection between climate change and El Nino's intensity as you continue to say this is going to be off the charts?
I cannot be sure, but I know due to our seasonal models that it's going to be an off the charts El Nino. Two separate things, right? I can't be sure that climate change is making it worse, although it probably is. We need to do research on that. But one thing I can say is our seasonal models, which have become really good at forecasting, almost all of them indicate a historical worst El Nino we've ever had. And yes, there's a possibility that some of that is due to excess heat trapped by climate change in the Pacific Ocean.
You say all of this matter-of-factly. You say this rather stoically. Are you scared?
No, and that's the thing about me. I don't really get scared. I'm a scientist. Of course, I can be scared. Lightning scares me, I will tell you that. But generally speaking, no, I'm talking about this through the lens of a scientist, someone who I find this very interesting, but I also find a lot of moral and ethical flaws in the way that we're treating the Earth right now because it's going to come back to haunt us.
How do you feel about how it's being covered? How do you feel like the nutrients that the public is getting dispensed? Because I believe that this is all being underreported.
There's a lot of disinformation out there, and I think there's a lot of entities that are scared to talk about climate change for political reasons. So I think the amount that we're talking about climate change has never reached the level that it needed to be, and it's actually come down from that over the past couple of years. So we need to be talking about climate change a lot more, because this is going to be, it already is becoming a major issue. It's costing us a lot of money. It's causing problems around the world, and it's only going to get worse from here. It's almost like we have to stop it now, or it's going to be really bad in the future. So even though we're not in the future yet, if we don't stop it now, it's going to be too late.
And among the things that you've seen over the last 3 or 4 years, everything from Venezuela to earthquakes to New York out of nowhere gets flash floods over the weekend. Like, what are the things that you are finding most interesting when you say you're just observing this as an interested scientist?
Things that are most interesting, yes. I mean, New York keeps flooding. A lot of that's because it's so urban and there's nowhere for the water to go. But they're seeing rain rates, their highest rain rates they've ever seen every year, right? We're seeing a lot of these 100-year, 1,000-year floods, or 100 or 1,000-year heat waves. So we're seeing it, in plain sight. And also we're seeing a greater proportion of hurricanes become major hurricanes. In fact, in the Atlantic, a run-of-the-mill hurricane is now twice as likely to become a major Cat 3, Cat 4, Cat 5 than it was just about 40 or 50 years ago. Storms are getting getting stronger much faster than they used to just a few decades ago.
How much has deregulation from the Trump administration affected climate change?
Well, it wouldn't be affecting it yet, right? But it's definitely affecting our future trajectory. So climate change is the buildup of greenhouse gases. And once they're there, once carbon dioxide's out there, it does not come out. It's there for thousands of years. So as we start to deregulate and allow more pollution to get into the atmosphere, all we do is we need to be bringing our emissions down, but instead they go in the opposite direction. And unfortunately, it's going to take a lot longer to reel everything back in. We were on a course for correction, and now we're no longer on that course for correction.
Zaz, what are you looking at?
Yo, I'm trying to see when my favorite show, 60 Minutes, is coming back on air. It's looking like September.
Jeff, thank you for being on with us.
Embargo returns.
We appreciate your time and appreciate the information, sir. Thank you.
Glad to be here. Thank you.
I've lost everybody here. I can tell that everyone is here thinking about SummerSlam, like that all of you are here thinking about wrestling, and the only thing you care about is whether or not weather is going to affect your plans.
SummerSlam's indoors.
Seemed like you wanted someone to tell you there was going to be a tornado that hits you here right now.
Yeah, you're like, is it closer? No, Tampa, Orlando. But what about Miami?
You were
Miami.
really pressing them.
I've lived my whole life. I've never seen a tornado.
But where? Specifically. Right? I'll give you a 3-mile radius. You tell me.
Right?
You think I'm rooting for tornadoes?
Yeah, that's how I entered into it. Let me see if
right
Dan,
is cool.
Yeah, it was confirmation bias, no doubt. But I was listening to it like Dan is rooting for the weather.
I don't understand the position that you guys are putting me in.
I did not put you in. Trust me, if I were putting you in a position, that would not be the position I put you in.
Where I live, it is difficult, if that floods, for me to even leave Miami Beach.
Yes.
More than all of you.
So you're not too concerned.
More than the rest of you. No, I'm plenty concerned. You guys have me rooting for an apocalypse to be on my balcony. That's what you guys have me rooting for.
What you want. I don't like you wanted.
Yeah, I don't have you doing that.
There was an earthquake in Cuba.
Yeah.
There's
no fault lines here, though.
But what? Since when are there earthquakes in Cuba?
The Dayland Station one. Downtown Dayland, we got a little earthquake. You can get an earthquake. I know we're not on a fault line, which means we're not going to get the bad ones. But you can. There isn't such a thing as a place that's not capable of getting an earthquake.
Zaz, how much did you pay for SummerSlam tickets?
I've only bought in for night 1 so far. I still need to buy for night 2, but for night 1, I paid a little less than $5 a pop.
$5?
No, add a couple zeros.
Well, I think they're going for $5 now.
They're not going for $5 right now, but they have marked certain tickets to $25 with the fees, of course, because it's a total racket. It ends up being $43. So $43 a ticket. But listen, when your boy goes to see wrestling, he's got to sit ringside. So those $43 seats are not for me.
But
All right, so you got really good tickets for $500.
Yeah.
What were those prices for WrestleMania?
It's a great question, actually. The seats that I got for SummerSlam, which is in 2 weeks in Minnesota, those seats for they really have reduced prices. There's been an incredible amount of negative feedback, deservedly so, for how much these tickets cost for WWE events. And the tickets that I'm sitting in, at least for the first night for SummerSlam, which cost me $500 each, for WrestleMania just a few months ago would have been probably about $2,500. Like, it's absurd.
That's not just them bowing to pressure. That's the market dictating the new prices.
Yeah, and as of just a few days ago, the sales for SummerSlam, very poor. Embarrassingly poor. It's in a stadium, Dan, which, if they wanted to use the whole... Or actually, just for context, last year, SummerSlam was in MetLife, and they sold 50,000 tickets per night. Great crowd. As of a few days ago, they'd only sold... And this is a comparable stadium. They'd only sold 22,000, less than half.
That's arena numbers.
Now, thousands of tickets have moved over the last few days because they have significantly dropped prices.
And they've been pushing hard promotionally.
Right, which is why I've waited to purchase tickets for the second night, because I know they're going to keep dropping, and I'll get even better seats. But the ticket prices are outrageous for WWE, and that's really been a trend since TKO took over a few years ago.
Well, let me talk about TKO and you guys and how you care about wrestling here, because it's been a pretty seismic change. For those of you who long for a different time with ESPN, as you see ESPN laying people off that people care about today, I find it fairly amazing whenever I'm on ESPN.com or scrolling past ESPN, there's always a wrestler on there on one of their shows. They are really spending a lot of invested time and money on a partnership with the new business model of wrestling. I've told you that Nick Khan, who is a power broker at the very height of all of sports, that for a while he was basically running ESPN. Nick Khan, when he was at CAA, was essentially doing ESPN's programming because all of his clients were at ESPN, and then he got out at the time that he milked everything that he could from ESPN because he saw that this day was coming, and now he profits a different way off of ESPN. How do you two, you and Mike, who care so much about wrestling, feel about how wrestling is managed right now and the way they appear to be gouging people who are now turning around and saying, no, we're not going to do this. You have to have an appreciation for your customer base if you're going to sell to me.
Yeah.
You can't be some sort of outsider who's going to come in here and try and take my money when you don't care about this as much as I do. You care only about the business of this.
It feels like a very short-term view that the company has with the way that they price tickets, like as if let's make as much money as possible right now because we're not going to own this thing forever. Because if we were going to own this thing forever, you have to make sure you get families in the door. Even if the families are sitting all the way up top, you got to get the families and little kids in door so they can be fans their entire life, like me, where I'm now spending my income on wrestling and going with my boys. It feels like that's not what's happening here. That it's just about let's milk this thing dry for everything it's worth. We're going to treat it like a business, and then we're going to get rid of it when we feel like it's not profitable anymore.
Mike, are you getting mad?
Oh, I've been mad, but I'm a lifelong wrestling fan, so they know that they have certain fans by the balls. I pay for Netflix. It's the only thing that got me to pay for Netflix. I don't watch it on Netflix. The programming is bad. And I bet you if we saw the internal numbers, I bet you fewer people are watching WWE Monday Night Raw live on Netflix. Fewer people are watching that than AEW Dynamite weekly. I feel pretty strongly about that. I don't like that I have to have Netflix and I have to buy the additional ESPN package. And when I do so, I have additional commercials. I'm paying behind a paywall, a pretty big premium, a sizable one. And these shows that famously used to go without commercials don't just have a little bit of commercials in them. It's mostly commercials. And I'm watching this. I'm like, I know they have me, but I'm glad that I have an alternative. I know they had me, but the casuals that came around when WrestleMania 40 was happening and they were telling all these great stories, they have more than left.
The ticket prices bother me, and not for me in particular, because thank God I can afford it, all right? And it's where I like to spend my disposable income. But I feel bad for other people who can't go. Like, I like for people to go and enjoy this really great show. And TKO doesn't allow it.
And you know why there are so many commercials, Dan, for WWE PLEs now? It's because ESPN has to recoup their investment because they regret paying that much for it. And look, Nick Khan was really good at getting ESPN.
For context, Nick Khan's the president of WWE.
Nick Khan, over the course of his very illustrious career, was really good at getting ESPN to overpay for stuff. And I think it's pretty obvious ESPN, and there have been reports on this, ESPN fairly immediately regretted the investment that they made in WWE. But like Zaz highlighted, I don't think these are moves with a future in mind.
Yeah,
Vince McMahon.
There's no long-term view.
Vince McMahon ran house shows in towns because he saw the long-term investment.
It was always affordable
in that, even though they would not make money for him running house shows in that town. Keeping fans in these remote places at that price point was an important thing. And that was Vince McMahon. Not a great guy. I don't know if you've read the papers lately. But every move that they made is driven by the dollar, and that's all right. They got a business. They made a big investment in purchasing this, but it was bound to catch up to them. I don't think they anticipated it catching up to them this fast.
Zaz, you mentioned pricing people out, and you like the idea of introducing a new generation of people to something. What are your favorite things to introduce people to, where you get the most pleasure from the discovery of, I know about this thing and I want to share it with you. I want to be the one who shares this thing with you so that I can get the credit when you are filled with wonder and discovery about something that I showed you.
I don't really feel that way with wrestling, because I like for people who like wrestling to be able to go. I don't try to convince people that wrestling is great, because I know it's very niche, okay? So I don't care about that. But I do like bringing someone to see Pearl Jam with me. Like, I like when someone who has never seen them, who likes them on the periphery but has never seen them live, I do really enjoy introducing them live.
Mike will never forgive Pearl Jam or Eddie Vedder for what they did to him at Hard Rock, where they played none of their hits on the first night, the night he went, and then they played all of their hits, and the second show was amazing. The first one was vastly less amazing. You'll never forgive them.
The second show was more for Pearl Jam fans like myself. The first one was for Pearl Jam fans.
First one
like
was for me.
Zaz.
Yeah.
But I do consider myself a Pearl Jam fan, and I wasn't a fan of theirs really until Zaz took me
I
to
brought
the
him
show.
for his first time. That's right. I brought him. We were in the second row on the floor. Those are good seats.
Was that the tuna sandwich day?
Yes, that was me being a conscientious friend, if that's what you're referencing.
What does that mean, a tuna sandwich day? I don't know what that is.
He packed me a sandwich famously for the road trip to Tampa.
Yes, that was me being a good friend. Yes.
You don't know that story?
I don't remember that story. No.
Come on, Dan. I didn't
Sorry.
pack.
You packed me a tuna sandwich?
I didn't pack tuna sandwiches for the road, okay? What happened was I was making myself a tuna sandwich because it was lunchtime, and Mike had just arrived at my house early, mind you, for us to wind up getting in the car and going to Tampa for the show. Mike got there early. I'm in the middle of making myself a sandwich. I'm going to be a dick if I get into the car and I only have a sandwich for myself. So I took out another bun and I made Mike a sandwich as well. Here, I made you one also.
Why are you so defensive about your generosity?
He could have eaten the sandwich there, but it was packing them for the road.
Because they make it sound like I got in a car as an adult and I make tuna sandwiches for everybody.
I mean, I'm
That's not
just
what it's doing.
What'd you do? That's what you did.
I remember just being surprised at being handed a sandwich. He's like, "Hey, I made you a sandwich."
Yeah.
And it's, wrapped up in plastic.
It was.
And we're just two guys on a roadie, and he packed me a lunch.
Headed to wrestling.
No, it was to Pearl Jam.
Pearl Jam.
All right, I just put together a
You know
top
what?
five.
That's a fine.
I put together a top five. Whoa, wait.
It's a famous
How is that a
story that we
fine?
told several times, and now we're headed to wrestling. He wasn't listening.
All right.
He wasn't listening. I sat through a 60 Minutes interview and climate change. You couldn't deal with 30 seconds of a Pearl Jam story
just
and a
can't believe
sandwich?
we didn't
Well,
ask
one of the
Jeff.
great Jonathan Zaslow stories, that's part of his lore, man.
We won the lottery with tickets that night because it's lottery-based where I get my seats, and I got my tickets. I went up to the booth. Holy shit, we're in the second row on the floor. That was a nice treat.
Yeah, not listening, fine. You know who opened that show? Kings of Leon.
Mm-hmm.
That was when they just started. Hey, let's stop dressing like hippies and start dressing sexy.
There he
Hunter
goes.
Penalty, 2 minutes for not listening to
Wow.
the show.
Wow.
I put together a top 5 of things I like to introduce people to, because I love what you're talking about here with like bringing someone to a concert for the first
I like
time.
making people happy.
Yeah, it's the best feeling. So when you can introduce someone to something, I sent some stuff to the video team. So my first OLI, the Randy Johnson bird video. When you get to show someone this video of Randy Johnson killing a bird for the first time.
Okay, but how do you
it's
introduce that to
electric.
someone?
I
You
love
say,
this
have you
list.
ever seen this video
This is a
before
great
in your
list.
life?
It's a great feeling to introduce people to something. This is a great
Yeah,
list.
this is one of the best that exists. Another OLI, a new piece of pop culture content, whether that's like a TV show or music, like you just said. Like when you get to share an artist or a TV show with somebody, the long-term reward of like a few weeks later having someone be like, hey, I haven't stopped listening to this artist, or hey, I'm on season 3 of this TV show and I want to talk about it with you. That's one of the best long-term feelings. Number 5, Barry Bonds baseball reference page. Have you ever shown someone these numbers for the first time? Because every time I've ever sent someone who knows anything about baseball to the Barry Bonds baseball reference page, they are mind blown by what they see. There's multiple 4-year stretches where he led in every offensive category, pre and post steroids.
I mean, the most impressive part is you look at his final season, and it's like, they didn't want that guy to keep playing?
Right. Yeah, they all decided they didn't want him. Number 4, a fun new idiom. Like when you get to show an old person, like, hey, ball off me, coach. And they're like, what are you talking about? Hey, that's when I want to take personal responsibility for something. That's something new you can work into your repertoire. When Dave Damashek, for example, taught us all, we park our cars in the same garage. That was a great feeling, and I'm sure he loved being able to share that with us for the first time. Number 3, a quicker or easier route to get somewhere. If I know of a shortcut, or I know of a way to get someone to a place with a little less stress and I can share that with them, it is a very rewarding feeling. Number 2, an item off a menu at a restaurant someone's been to many times before. If I can share with you that the crispy Brussels sprouts at a place are really delicious and you've never tried them before, and now I've unlocked something new in your order, because a lot of people, I don't know about you guys, I go to restaurants and I have like my standard order, and so most of the time I'm getting the same thing. If I can try something new and it's on recommendation, I'm very happy about that. And number 1, the Grape Lady YouTube video.
Oh. These buckets are filled with grapes. What kind of grapes? These are filled with Chamberson grapes, and the winner this Saturday, who's studying music, eating international foods, having wine tours and tastings, vineyard tours, seminars, arts and crafts. It's a lot of fun, a whole day. Stop. Oh, 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 oh.
Ow, ow, ow. Ow.
Our show had so much fun with that sound.
Did we ever actually learn what her injury was?
Yeah, she broke a few ribs, I think.
I was inspired because I like introducing people to stuff
Thank
too.
you.
So I quickly put together a top 5 things of mine that I like to introduce people to. Number 5, Elvis's incredible rant. You remember that?
My doctor.
My doctor. It's embarrassing to me. My doctor. I'll rip your tongue out. Rip your tongue out by the roots. Thank you very much.
My doctor.
Number 4, highlight. Love treating people to a great time at the Fronton, showing them that the world's fastest game is alive and thriving, and explaining exactly why Manu is the best backcourter in the world. Number 3, anal. Number 2, Billy Joel's freak out while he was performing. You guys, you don't remember that?
No.
Oh, dude. He's playing the piano and he's like pissed off because they're shining. Quit lighting the audience. He's like, quit lighting the audience. And then just cocaine fuel just like throws the. You have to see
I
it,
love
man.
Billy Joel. I've never
Yeah.
seen this.
Really?
Watch it
Light
after
of
the
the
show. I've never
audience.
seen this.
Like, he just tosses his keyboard.
He had a
You've never
substance
seen that?
problem.
Billy Joel, no.
Yeah. And number 1, introducing people to the fact that the original cast for Bad Boys was John Lovitz and Dana Carvey.
What?
Which one do you want me to introduce you to?
Zaz?
What was number 4 again?
Highlight.
No, I'm good with them all.
I think I like the Elvis one.
Oh man. All right.
Dan took an extended one, huh?
I should have made it number 2.
You're trying to Leslie stall until the end of this show.
Because it's evil. Are we starting on number 60 or are we starting on number 50? Where are we
No,
starting?
we're starting on number 60. Right now, for the time being, it's a top 60 countdown.
And remember, we've gotten to the point now when he rattles through these, he almost passes out. You can take a breath. Like, we don't want you to die.
Right.
Take a breath if you need to.
Although, if he were to die,
the numbies would go up.
That's the way to go up.
Well, it's not.
Be viral.
Wait a minute.
I'm dying on my podcast, not this one.
Yeah, he's said that many times.
Okay. Some
He's
people
also
have
made
said
me
I'm
promise that the
dying
week
on my
after he passes, we release an episode.
Gotta eat a peck of dirt before you die.
Peck of dirt. That's right. Nana Doogie.
I know that's right. I'm you.
You keep agreeing with your inner monologue.
Yeah, ain't no log in it.
Your
Save that.
Your inner monologue is speaking on behalf of you. You don't have to agree with it. It's
Trailers for
sale,
sale,
rent. Hey, rooms to let 50 cents. Jinx.
Hot in here.
Put a Lobo's mint under your pillow and dream big. Friendly reminder that Clark Spence is a horse murderer. He looks the part. If we were to set up a lineup of people that would shoot horses for fun, Clark Spencer, top of the heap.
number 60, Greg.
Len Pasquarelli up there too.
Wow.
Ray Rotto, got my eye on you.
I do want to step back for a second here because Greg Cody said that he doesn't want to die on this podcast. He wants to die on his podcast.
You don't get to choose.
And that's correct.
I think I do.
And no, you don't. You don't get to choose there. And your son has said that it would be good for numbers. That's not what I was going to say. Yeah, that is what you said. Put it on the poll at Le Batard Show. Douche or no douche? Guy who calls numbers numbies. What I was saying, though,
is that as you go through this list on our show, it's not for ratings. I believe that your father, if I gave him his choice on preferred ways to go instead of asphyxiation or being punched in the face till his death, high on the list would be while reading his catchphrases to an international audience. Why are you shadowboxing?
Seems like the thing to do.
Got to stay on your toes.
Got to be on your toes in this business.
You're sitting. Hold on.
17 is great. Hey, that's what I'm talking about.
I don't appreciate it.
It makes Zaz furious every time, but it makes it makes Tony so happy. Tony is rarely as radiant as he is when.
Against the spread. Against the spread. Against the spread is presented by DraftKings Sports. DraftKings, the ground is yours. Mike.
I really like this youngster for the Cleveland Guardians, Parker Messick. You know he was a rookie that made the All-Star game? Dan, did you know that? He's pretty solid.
Against the spread.
Did you know that?
The Cleveland Guardians, they pitch. They don't hit so much.
Well, Parker Messick is a big reason why they pitch. He's only given up more than 2 runs once over his last 5 starts. And Dan, the Twinkies are a-sliding. They're going in the wrong direction, so I'm going to go with Parker Messick and them boys against the spread. -1.5. Get it on the DraftKings Sports app. Available in all 50 states. Against the spread. Against the spread. Against the spread.
We're going to get to Juju in a minute here. We have an assortment of announcements to make, but one of the things that is just being reported is that Cam Newton is reportedly being laid off by ESPN. What are you smiling about, Mike?
I mean, you could see that one coming.
Could you?
The Whitlock interview that he did and Stephen A., putting Stephen A. in a really awkward position.
He behaved ridiculously. Yeah, of course.
Like you could see, like he knew that he was stepping into it, and he stepped fully into it, and I guess consequences.
What are your thoughts in general on just what is happening at ESPN?
Sucks. There's
today?
a lot of talented people that I have a fair amount of respect for that are losing their jobs.
And this isn't new though, right? Like this every year.
No, this happens. Yeah, but I mean.
Unfortunately,
it doesn't happen to people with like 30 years of tenure all that often. So there's some pretty shocking names there, but. Once they started spending big on a couple of talents and also rights fees, you could see that this day was going to be coming. It's been long rumored, and we were told that it was going to be some pretty big names, but I'm still surprised by some of the names that we're hearing.
McAfee and Stephen A. are going to get blamed, right?
I wonder how this is going to play out because people like to complain about ESPN, but as I sit here today, I think there are only fewer than 10 people that actually would matter in a substantive way. Beyond the clucking, people like to be outraged. It's a bigger sport than any of the sports. But are there even 10 names right now that would result in legitimate outrage? I'm not going to watch anymore. The games are what carry you, and the games are what matter, and they are betting again and again on the games. Are there even 5 names, honestly, that if I gave you more than 5 names and said you're going to be shocked by these names, I think there are only 5. Let me think for a second because I haven't given this a lot of thought, but I don't think it's even 10 where America would be outraged in a way I'm not watching anymore. I'm not going to be a part of what they're doing. I'm so pissed off that I'm going to take away my dollars.
I hang around after big games on ESPN, and I'll enjoy Scott Van Pelt. And I stick around because of Scott Van Pelt. And there are some people that move, but all in all, like they're the decisions that they've made in programming. And also I've changed as an individual. I have different interests, I guess, but I couldn't tell you what's on in place of Around the Horn anymore. I don't know what's. Do you know what? No. I think it's more NFL Live, perhaps, but that seems like a solid place. I watch NFL Live. I have a great deal of respect for Mina. I think she's excellent there, and that's not one that I watch on mute. If it's on the TV and I'm channel surfing, I'll stop on that. But no, they're programming decisions. But it's not for me. I have different interests. I think they've paid off with a lot of their moves. Doubling down on Stephen A. and making him the star of their network has worked out for that show and that time slot. And Pat McAfee, I think, is tremendous on College Game Day, and using that piece of real estate that they have for the daily radio show only makes him that much bigger of a star.
My point, though, is that whatever the quibbles are with the confirmation bias of you want to complain about ESPN because it's the big beast, I think they're doing, while it hurts, the correct thing. All of the people that they let go, while it hurts in the moment and you get a little bit of noise, the correct way to invest your money is in just the 5 or 10 people that people actually care about, because they aren't wrong when they think that we and everything else is interchangeable or disposable. ESPN makes the people, not the other way around.
Not always, though. And there's a lot of talents that never got an opportunity there. And, Pablo had to fight hard for opportunities, and sometimes had to. I mean, the opportunities that he got were really outside of ESPN. It was Ride Home Productions. That was production that was outsourced to a different company. But when we were there at ESPN, a lot of the people that we brought on to our show were people that were in-house that we felt were underutilized, and with varying degrees of success, like, we were able to help their careers and find ways to highlight their talents. There's a lot of people that we're saying aren't needle movers that are being let go today that probably haven't had the opportunity, and it's a sad realization of the business.
My point is, though, emotionally you can object to this. Rationally, I don't think you can. Like, the reaction is a knee-jerk emotional one, but whoever it is I take off of that network, if I tell you there are only 5 or fewer than 10 actual needle movers, then the right move is, as everything changes in media, we're going to cut costs and we're going to make everyone feel how disposable they actually are.
You know what? Let me think back on it, because I actually do ingest a lot of what ESPN produces, like in their audio properties. Greg McElroy's podcast, Kevin Clark does a tremendous job. When we're in college football season, I can't get enough. I'll channel surf from ACC Network to SEC Network and listen to Powell, because it's comfort food.
When you mention, and we'll get to Juju here in just a second, though, but when you mention some of the stuff that you're mentioning, another move that ESPN made that wasn't giving the money to Stephen A. Smith or Pat McAfee was they invested in Peyton Manning and Omaha. They invested in this. This is actually a dirty secret that not enough people talk about. But as a production and content company, ESPN makes precious little of its own good content. They have to farm it out to McAfee, to Omaha. When you just mentioned Kevin Clark,
yeah, Kevin Clark, Greg McElroy, Mina Kimes' podcast, like a lot of the good stuff that they do.
Brian Windhorse's podcast too got over to Omaha.
A lot of the good stuff that they're doing on audio are part of that Omaha group.
What was the deal that they gave Peyton Manning? Wasn't it like a $700 million deal? Wasn't it some look this up for me, Jeremy, before we get to Juju and wrap this up at the end of the segment. Juju, thank you for joining us. Have you come to any realizations yet over who your new NBA team is? I don't know. I don't think enough is being made of the fact that you have quit the Celtics.
Yes, sir, man. As a former Celtics fan, I got to admit, over the years, I had to ignore a lot of vibes, if you know what I mean. Like, for example, I'm pretty sure this means white power. I don't know the symbol for white power, but I got this at the Celtics game, damn it. And so, stuff like that, you dig? So I am happily taking my talents and
three-point basket. I don't know what you're talking about.
It's 305.
Three-point basket.
For the audio audience, he's got a foam finger in the form of what appears to be
over there
either a three-pointer or white power or 305. Take your pick, depending on your perspective.
They can use it. They use it all the time. It's a gang sign when they do it.
And as a consideration from my girl who's a Sixers fan, I'm already halfway in with the Eagles. I am taking my talents to the Philadelphia 76ers.
Whoa!
And I am trusting the process. I'm sorry, guys. I know.
You're just a Jaylen Brown guy.
Whoa!
You're a Jaylen Brown guy.
When they sunk my boy off, I was like, damn it.
Jaylen is your.
Yeah, I'm following my boy.
Jaylen is your Baker Mayfield. I go where Baker goes.
They traded Juju's allegiance. They traded not just Jaylen Brown.
You going to a rival is wild. That's a wild move.
A trade to a rival, and
it's not like I went to the Bengals.
It takes Juju with them. That's it. Oh, my God. What an announcement from Juju. A shocking announcement.
That's their biggest rival. Well, second biggest.
I ask you guys to respect my privacy in this transitional time while I get my thoughts together.
All right. Thank you, Juju, for making that announcement.
You're going to hate Joel Embiid.
Here exclusively. Can you grab your flowers and spread some positivity around here today? Who would you like to give flowers to?
Oh, my God, the MVP of the World Cup. I forgot to bring my boy up yesterday. My brother, Nicholas Wright. Oh, my God. Stand up and take a bow. These flowers are for you.
It was a great
I'm
World
talking
Cup.
about, yes, sir, wrong jersey after wrong jersey. Every team that he threw the jersey on for got their ass kicked that day. Salute to my boy.
The bucket hat of doom.
Those photographs are so good. That last one, I just don't know what to do with that last one. Before we get to the polls, anything else that you need to announce? Anything else that we need to know?
Yes, sir, man. I'd like to send a special happy birthday shout out to one of our biggest supporters, Rage Against Twitter, a.k.a. my guy.
Happy birthday to him. I don't care. Good luck.
Come on, man. Keep getting older and keep getting wiser, brother.
What do we have for poll updates, Juju?
Can you say nobody knows anything with respect? 51% of the audience says no, you cannot.
I'm the owner of a fat face.
Right, what was that, Dan? Salute to Claire. Did the ESPYs make the Knicks the best team just so they come to the award ceremony? 95% of the audience says yes.
I'm the owner of a fat face.
If LeBron has spent the last 17 years in Miami, does he win more than 4 championships? 72% of the audience says yes, he does.
I'm the owner of a fat face.
Is Christopher Nolan a top 5 director ever? 76% of the audience says yes, he is.
I'm the owner of a fat face.
Did you need Matt Damon for you to understand that war is bad? 62% of the audience says no, they did not.
I'm the owner of a fat face.
Are Cubans more likely to put their dog outside? And my grandma. 90% of the audience says yes, they are.
What's wrong with putting their dog outside, by the way? They live, they're animals. They're outside. What's the problem with that?
I want to add another
Put a bowl
poll.
of water.
I want to add another poll to tomorrow, Juju, because I want to see what it is that people say to this. More likely to put their dog outside, Cubans or black people? I want to put that poll up because
maybe don't.
When he started speaking, I'm like, don't say it.
Can an Odyssey be only 3 hours long? 71% of the audience says no, it cannot.
I'm the owner of a fat face.
And last poll, did you know that Ben Affleck had a $587 million AI company? 89% of the audience says no, and those are your polls.
I'm the owner of a fat face.
Important poll we missed. Can that brother piss? What happened to that one?
What did happen to that one? Can we just?
It is one of the 7 words.
Can we play again just the sound of the grape lady, because you guys got me nostalgic there with Jeremy. That was one of the original before viral was viral. This was, I think, this is long enough ago that it feels like this was almost pre-social media in terms of how much we enjoyed playing the sound of this woman falling off a platform while trying to crush grapes with her feet.
Oh,